Welcome in, everyone, to episode 99 of the Boutcast podcast. I'm your host, Peng, joined by my co-host, Speedy as Chief 2. And we got some stuff to talk about.
Oh, man. I'm really excited for 100. I think people are really going to love episode 100, so they should definitely tune in for that. But this one, I could tell this one's going to be a heavy episode.
Yeah, so obviously people don't know this yet, but we actually recorded episode 100 last week because we had a special guest on. Drop your guesses down below on who the guest is. But in that episode, just like the episode with Butters, I said, we're recording this in the past, so if all goes south in a week or so,
Stop
we don't
saying
know
that.
yet in 2 weeks or so. And it happened again. The first time was the freaking remote raid nerf. And here we got the death of Silph is incoming. But before we get into that, let's cover some of our episode questions because we got a lot to cover. I think the first one we need to cover quickly is Zifai's episode. So let's just briefly go through that. I don't know if I'll go through all of them at this point, just because we have 3 episodes worth. But all right. So starting with Chad Cameron, the merch should say, "Don't ever change Squirrel Trapper." Dude, that's a good one. I like. We could make multiple Squirrel Trapper merch. We could do "I am Squirrel Trapper" and "Don't ever change Squirrel Trapper." Dude, there's a lot of them, right? There could be a Speedy saying "Don't ever change Squirrel Trapper." Like you're talking to the Squirrel Trapper, right? Like the guy's busy trapping squirrels, and you're in the background, be like, "Don't ever change," dude.
Love it.
Love it. I love it. That'd be so good. You like behind a tree, maybe be like whispering, like, "Don't ever change."
It's honestly how I feel. Don't ever change Squirrel Trapper. I know you're listening.
Maybe I should be in the trap too. He's like trapping me. And like, "Don't ever change."
Would love that.
Sabine says, "A wonderful idea to invite Stephanie. This episode was pure joy. Thank you so much." Well, thank you. I'm glad you all enjoyed it. And then Sabine also says the sustainability part of Sustainability Week seems to be that Niantic tells me to drive 150 kilometers to the next city and back every Wednesday evening if I want to raid. Where I live, there is no use of going outside to do raids anymore without some remote raiders who can help out. I care less and less about probably never being able to compete in Master League or to fill my Pokédex. It's sad though. Yeah, dude, it really is tough, especially if you don't have like a Master League roster built. Like the 3 Master League Pokemon I have from raids, I luckily had the XLs before the raid nerf game. Like I don't know how I'm gonna get the XLs for the remaining ones.
I got to that point in my research where I have to win 50 raids for like the level 50 research. I looked at that
my
and I
gosh.
just laughed. I'm like, yeah.
Wait, you're not even level 50 yet?
No, I am 50, but I'm doing the research. It's the special research. It's one of those things that I stack when I go into Stardust Community Day bets with you.
Oh my gosh, how many of those do you even have, dude? That's I don't even want to know. Yeah. We'll talk about research later too. That's our segment too. Anna Hoff says, "Had a long car ride yesterday, and this was the perfect time to have an amazing guest." Yes, indeed. Yeah,
we agree.
I personally, I said this before, but I personally also listen to our podcast. But I listen to a bunch of other podcasts when I'm driving around too. So it's always a good time to kind of kill some of the time. Justin Kim Wu says, "A little support for Speedy here. I would have pronounced it Defy as well. But I'm also originally from the south-ish part of the U.S. Thanks for having her on. As a latecomer to the game, always interesting in hearing some of the history from those who were there. Also, really encouraging to hear about some of the efforts at inclusivity. My daughter enjoys the game as much as my boys do. She's pretty good. She's a pretty good battler, too, for a 5-year-old. Wow, very nice. Prodigy. I love the game for many reasons, but I think my favorite is the way it brings all kinds of people together to play. Keep kicking keep kicking ass. Definitely. Yeah, sorry, he censored it. But yeah, thank you, Justin. And here's the thing, kids like learn so quick too. Like we see all these like teenagers and stuff, like just picking up the game. Like, dude, they're like the best of the best. I don't know what it is, because in my mind, I mean, I guess like Pokemon Go's like it's a simple game, but there's a lot of intricacies and nuances to it. But I think from a gaming perspective, I feel like it's still, as a competitive game, on the simpler side. But there clearly is like a very noticeable skill gap in what you can learn as a teenager versus like a boomer like us. We're not really boomers, but older middle-aged men.
I think that dude, we're already starting. I think that Pokemon Go is very much like life. the more that you learn about how things should work, the more like preconceived notions that you have in your mind. Like, how much time do you think Kimmy Sui looks at his team and it's like, yeah, I'm super weak to Trevin. I need to change this. He doesn't think that way. He just thinks like, okay, I have to find a way to win this. If it's landing
Mhm.
a Psycho Boost against a Trevenant when it's one Shadow Claw short of the Seed Bomb, then so be it. He just
Yeah.
finds a way, right? I think young people's minds are much more malleable and they're a lot more open to new ideas. But for
Mhm.
us, we're like, oh, I got to get this alignment or I got to prepare for this Pokemon. And younger
True.
people are like, no, I just want to think about this in more like abstract terms.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe more willing to take the risk too. So I say last week, but technically it's upcoming episode. I shared with Speedy my team that I'm building for Hartford, and I really just completely did a 180 because it was very
No.
spicy, and I just can't handle the spice.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
But maybe the kids, they have more guts than me. I honestly should just try some random stuff because I already qualify for worlds, but like I want to do well too. I want to do well.
Dude,
Uh,
you'll never outshine Inhoff and her Shadow Moltres, all right? So just give it up.
Oh, true. No, yeah, dude, Shadow Moltres, the Guzzlord, man, that's wild.
Yes.
Leo Yoon says something I started to notice with events lately is that you all touch upon is the overall weakening of the event bonuses tied to these events. We do seem to have an event almost every week, meaning the frequency of events have increased, but the bonuses feel a lot weaker than they were before. That's honestly absolutely right, Leo. And like I feel less incentivized to go out and play. Though honestly, the last event I played a lot of was the Mystic Hero events, and I was just seeing they're evolving in my hotel
Mm-hmm.
room.
Mm-hmm. That was a
Um,
good one.
but yeah, I mean the bonus was decent, but like again, it's not like if they want us to go out there, give us better bonuses to go out there and play stuff. Like I don't know. Even the research stuff is like hit or miss. Honestly, sometimes they do have good research, but it's like finding the research takes like an hour to find one. Sometimes, maybe not even. Right? I'm like, oh, this is a good one to stack. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
Shroomish. I can't find a damn Shroomish quest at all. But Leo
Exactly.
continues. I remember a week or a couple weeks long events that would have several strong bonuses like double dust, have have egg distance, bonus XP, etc. The most recent example was a very weak event, was a Mystic Hero event that didn't even have special spawns. That's true. Even though they had good evolution stuff, they didn't have special spawns. They don't have special spawns for any of these, like the Mystic Hero Instinct. Like what? These are like the hero events, right? These are supposed to be good. Anyway, do
Yeah.
you think that the frequency of the events justifies the weaker bonuses? Maybe I'm just imagining weaker bonuses, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. No, honestly, like I feel like we're always just waiting around for Halloween because we know like Halloween's like the one
Fair.
event that has like decent bonuses these days, right? And you're looking for like your mass, like they have decent event spawns, and you're looking for Halloween, and that's about it, right? Like what else? Like and also the boxes and
Yeah.
events aren't like correlated with anything either. We're waiting for like Christmas time or winter season time, and the boxes aren't good. So like you're just waiting for the event at this point, right?
I'm not trying to like armchair quarterback this whole thing, right? Because Niantic has done a lot of innovative things that we haven't, asked for or expected. But honestly, I feel like there are so many missed opportunities. To piggyback off your point, in addition to Halloween, I look forward to the end of the year Community Day like extravaganza in
Yeah.
December. That
Hmm.
one's really fun too.
Yeah, and I say the rocket events just for the fact that you could TM
Yes,
frustration. But
I
again, like,
agree.
why is that like 3 days? Like, just make it a week, right? Make it a week. I mean, I think like they're like 4 days, maybe 5 days at max. Just make it a week. Make it 2 weeks, right? Give us all the rockets. Like, what's going to happen? People are going to get so many good shadow rockets that they're going to stop doing rockets for the next six
Yeah,
months. Like, unlikely, right?
it's the FOMO machine. Come on.
Yeah, dude, I'm like I hated it because I'm out driving around like 1 a.m. trying to do these rockets because I can't go around during the daytime in full traffic doing it, right? And also like I have stuff to do as well during the daytime. I have work and
Hmm.
other things. And then they'll be like paired on top of like a regional weekend, so I'm like sleeping nothing because I'm like waking up in like a few hours to watch a regional. It's
Yeah,
just give us like a week,
dude.
please.
I agree. And to answer
Yeah,
your question, Leo, I think that Niantic is at a point where they're a little bit low on ideas, or maybe they don't have the capacity to execute on the ideas they want to do. I think they need to, again, like other things in our lives right now, like Hollywood, right? You feel like all you get in Hollywood are remakes. I think that Niantic needs to create a new original instead of just remakes of old events.
dude, I'm okay with them doing a remake of like a triple dust for a week event every summer, right? Like what we
Dude, you
used to
remember
get,
that? That was
dude.
ages ago.
Dude, I was in Auburn's car and we just drive around for like till 3 a.m. My ex was so mad at me. I came home. I was like, dude, I wasn't even out like drinking with friends. I was just out catching Pokemon. but,
Hey man, that's why
but
she's
yeah,
that's why they're your ex. That's what I'm saying.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, the thing is, I did feel like I was hungover, like I did drink after those nights. Auburn would be
Hey,
like, "Yo, you want to come out again the next day?" I was like, "Dude, I need a rest day, man. I'm so exhausted." But dude, those events were great, and that was before PB was even around. But triple dust for a
yeah,
whole week was a global unlock bonus. Like, dude, what? Like, we need dust more than ever now. It's not like we need dust less. Like we have
it,
XLs, right? Like,
exactly,
and there's
dude.
even
One
more
of
Pokemon to power up.
my favorite thing about the task right now are that you can get a task that is power up a Pokemon and you get awarded 300 dust, or power up a Pokemon 5 times you get 1,000 dust. Dude, if you're at level 1 Pokemon, it takes you 200 dust to power up one time.
Yes.
What
Dude,
is
it's you're
that?
not getting dust back for sure. But I personally have been powering up my Shundo Lugia during this event, so I need to power that up before Master League anyway. So I've been using that. But yeah, it's just what's the point? Yeah,
Dude,
what's the
it's
point?
so silly. It's
Yeah.
silliness.
All right, MJ says I usually listen to the show on Spotify to make my Friday commute home more tolerable. So nice to hear DeFi as your guest. Also, did I hear one of you slip a "What a great year" comment on the recent stream? I think so. Did you say it? Did I say it?
I didn't do the last Portland stream. It must have been you,
Did I? Maybe I did say it.
dude.
What a year, right?
I'm definitely
Did I
saying it
say
in
it?
Hartford.
I feel like I might have mentioned it, but I think I might have mentioned it, but like it doesn't. I think I maybe said it, but I remember thinking in the back of my head, like, I don't know how many people are gonna get this because Speedy's not even co-casting with me, right? You're not even backstage, right? Yeah,
No,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. Breaker says Steve IE should be on more podcasts. I do not disagree with you.
Agreed.
Uh,
You can get a lot more DeFi if you listen to the PvP corner.
Yes, PvP Corner on GoCast podcast.
Yes.
Justin Kim says, addendum, I wasn't aware of the GoCast podcast or the PP Corner, and now I'm listening to both. Enjoy it. Thanks, guys. Yeah, no problem. Always good to
Perfect.
see more podcasters in the Pokemon Go space. Jojo VH here. Love the shout out DeFi gave to girls at PP server. That was a very fun episode to listen to. Yes, definitely. RC Cola says Caleb always throwing shade. Curious to see what he has to say in response. Seems like I have to wait till the next episode to see any goat debate continue. Also, was great to see DeFi on the podcast. Great battler and great guest. Big fan. No, definitely. And then, hey there, Heather says, what a great podcast. Thanks for having DeFi on. Girls at PP is, in fact, an amazing place. Love learning more about DeFi's history in battling. Yeah, no, it's honestly been, it's so nice to see that there just even is a server like that because there wasn't one for the
Yes.
first, like, I wouldn't say year, like first like 8 months of PvP,
Mhm.
right? And I think
Mhm.
it's done a lot of great things for the community.
I agree.
More than I think me and Speedy can ever even realize because one,
Yes.
like that's not our lived experience and we're not in that space, but I've
Mhm.
only heard positive things. So
Yeah. And I think it's always a bad a thing to try to name everyone who's involved or contributed, but I just want to shout out to Kachina Mum and okay haha aka
mhm.
Casey for their roles in Girls at PvP as well.
Yeah.
But I know they're just again, once you start naming one person, it feels like you're leaving off 1,000. I know that's the case here, but we are close to Kachina Mum and Casey, so I wanted to shout them out.
Yeah. Yeah. It was Coach Your Mom that founded the whole thing too, actually. So
Mhm.
really great to see it take off since then. I remember the early days where it first came out and people were tweeting about it too. It was wild. Yeah. It was quite a time. All right, going into our Larvesta episode, we'll cover the comments right here. Omniaki
Okay.
says, "Nice cape, Caleb. Glad you're acclimating well to LA living. What other merch did you guys pick up at EUIC?" Um, yeah, that was when I was cold in my 70 something degree weather in stores.
Yeah.
It is currently 73 right now, so I'm feeling a lot better. Um, AC is on.
Dude, you got a tattoo in London, right? That was one of the things you picked up.
A tattoo?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, on my butt, right?
Exactly. Like the Nard dog from The Office.
Yeah, yeah. Except it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
says Squirrel Trapper's biggest fan.
Oh no. All right, I think I know the
Uh,
parameters for our next bet. Go ahead.
oh boy, dude! I did make a tattoo bet with two separate friends actually, and they both
Oh
lost
my
it.
god.
Yeah, I know. One
Jeez.
of them was I could pick the tattoo, and I actually said like, hey, the tattoo should be my logo, right? Because then I could take a picture. I mean, my logo's not too bad looking, but I could take a picture with
No,
him.
no, no.
And this guy doesn't play Pokemon Go, right? He's just one of my best friends, and I could take a picture with him and be like, yo, look at my biggest fan. He got a tattoo, right? Because I've seen people with Mystic 7 tattoos out there. I'm like, yo, I need
Oh
someone with my
no.
logo tattooed on them. But he did like a double or nothing bet. He weaseled his way out of it eventually because his girlfriend was not happy about it. But
Hey
I
man.
mean, look again,
That's how it
like
works.
people get me mad at me for it, but the the onus and responsibility has to be on the person agreeing to the bet, not the person that came up with the consequences, right?
Mm.
People get mad at me for you shaving your beard, but this is all in your control. You just had to hit the leaderboard, like you
Dude,
said.
smooth topic segue here. RC Cola wants us to talk about the NBA GOAT debate.
Okay.
The the NBA finals for this year
Uh huh.
start on June 1st.
Okay.
That's two episodes from now. We have 100 coming out next week, maybe
Yeah.
101. We could dedicate a few minutes talking about the GOAT debate.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because
That
he's
gives us
gonna be
time to
leaving.
actually,
He's leaving comments on every one of these things,
dude,
dude.
and that gives us time to watch the 12 videos he sent us via DM
Dude, 12 and counting,
and
12 and
counting.
counting, dude. I don't know if I have enough time between now and then.
I
It's not
know,
enough time in the week, man.
I know.
Said it's home. It feels like I'm back in school again. Except there's no deadlines. I'm procrastinating per usual. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's dude. Again, my thing is like, if you just lose my respect if you have to flop, right? Flop for advantage. Come on, now. I don't care. I don't care if it's the meta, right? You catch MJ doing that. You catch Kobe doing that, right?
dude.
You catch who else?
Dude, Wilt Chamberlain, and you can mention any.
Francis Ngannou. Does he flop? I don't think so, right?
Yeah,
Dude,
dude, Caleb, can you hear that?
LeBron just doesn't have that dog in him.
Can
That's
you
what
hear
I'm
that?
saying. You typing?
That's RC Cola
Oh,
typing right now.
yeah. I can hear from here too. He only lives a couple miles from me.
I know,
Yeah, he's
literally.
got an essay ready for me on that one. I'm just saying, like, you just don't have respect. It's just like if let's say like the best Pokemon Go player, right? The GOAT of Pokemon Go is like has like incredible history and record and stuff, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you still lose my respect if you have like the worst sportsmanship in the world, right? Like if
Agreed.
you're like trying to weasel away out of like every situation, try to like dispute everything, even when it's like the most minor thing, like you just lose my respect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's how it is. Anyway, Joe Carbone says, "Hey guys, absolutely love the podcast. Been listening since episode 1. Yo, a dedicated
Woo!
fan, love it, and been loving all the content as the podcast has evolved over time. Thank you for the amazing content. I hope to battle you again in person soon, Caleb." Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think. Well, Joe Carbone probably isn't their username, so let me know what your username is too. I might remember that one. Especially if you destroyed me too. I definitely remember those. I definitely remember all the times I get just whooped. I'm a performance psychology consultant and mental skills coach, and I'm hoping to maybe work with some Pokemon Go players. With that, oh yeah, I know this person. It's a previous local of mine from Georgia. So
Mm.
with that in mind, I got 3 questions and thoughts for you guys. One, can you explain the logistics of playing in a regional, both before and during the competition? How much time between rounds of the day of? Are there any breaks, etc.? Yeah, so typically speaking, at the moment, this moment in time, the old format was we have like a morning session and afternoon session. So if you're in
Split
bracket A and B,
pods.
yeah, split pods. You'd be in the morning session, C and D you'd be in the afternoon sessions, and the time in between that would probably be 30 minutes to an hour for each round. But now we do like all pods at the same time, so A through D all at once, right? Especially if it's a bigger tournament. And
Mhm.
essentially, you have a every time you battle, you wait till the next pods to go, right? So if I'm pod A, I wait until pods B, C, and D to finish before I go on to my next round. That
Yes.
can take anywhere between like an hour to an hour and a half. So it does take a while. So you have a lot of downtime, but you could watch a stream. I mean, most people just watching a stream, right? Or maybe get some food. I
Mhm.
definitely got some food in San Diego because San Diego was a big one, so there's a lot of time. As the day goes on, the round time between reduces because there's less players, right? Double elimination is more people getting knocked out, so there's less people, so that there might be pods B and D going on, A and B going on at the same time because they could fit
Yeah.
more people in the area. Yeah.
Yes.
Number two, the question is for each of you, what was the most stressful and challenging experience competing, and how did you work through it? What was it for you?
Well, again, like not having competed in a Play Pokemon event yet, I
Mm-hmm.
will have to draw on my Silph experience, and
Yeah.
I think that no matter which platform you're approaching in terms of battling, you need to hone in on your own practice style. I know, for example, Rise to Occasion. When you practice with Rise, one of the most consistent, best trainers in the world, he doesn't want to do any more than 2 to 5 battles at a time. He thinks that after a couple of sets, people will start to bring whatever they feel like, and it's not like legitimate, worthy
Mm.
practice. He wants to simulate that best of 3 environment as closely as possible, right? For me, I'm the opposite. I want as many possible scrims as I can get. When I was prepping for Silph Worlds, I literally took a screenshot of all my opponent's teams and I gave them to people like Caleb, to people like For the Battles, to people, the best trainers I could find in the world, like Arrow, right? And I said, run this team how you think this trainer will run it, and then I'll try to just beat it. I'll try to find a way around it. And I would track the teams that they use, and I started to see patterns in what people were doing. So again, like I say in terms of team reading, half of it is knowing your team. The other half, the other 50% is anticipating what your opponent's going to do. And some people like Caleb can do that pretty well without too much scrim practice prior. So to answer your question, the most stressful thing is honing in on what your practice method is and then getting the practice that you need, whether it's messaging people, coordinating battles, doing scrims. You don't want to show up to a tournament feeling underprepared and not preparing the way that you want to. For example, if you want to prepare like Rise and Caleb and only do a few scrims, you shouldn't like overburden yourself with hundreds and hundreds of games, because then you're not going to feel like you're in your best state to perform.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great answer too. For me personally, I mean, as someone that's only competed in one regional so far, but after this weekend, it'll be two. But I would say, I think the main thing is like especially if you're down, right? Like if you're like you're down in a match, right? Especially you lose game one,
Mhm.
right? It just takes like you just gotta like persevere, right? You gotta believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Just take it one game at a time, right? Don't even worry about game three. Worry about game number two, right? I remember specifically like in one of my it was against this guy named Dapper Dis from San Diego. I lost game one, and then game two, I literally thought I was about to lose, right? And it came down to a literal tie, right? So we had to rematch game two, and I was able to win the two and three barely, right? But like literally in that first initial game too, it came down to a tie where I had to lock on down a Metacham with my Reggie Seal, right? And let me tell you how close it is. It's simultaneously KO'd. I fainted out to a counter at the same time they fainted out to a lockout. Like it's literally one turn of a difference, right? But like I was just like because at that point I was just like I was stuck in a Medimir and my Metacham didn't have psychic, so I was just like I think I just straight up lose. I have like 5 HP left on my register in
Hmm.
the back, right? But I'm not gonna. I'm still gonna just fight through, right? And I think like like again, losing the first game, then tying, almost losing second game, you just got to make the adjustment. You just got to
Yeah.
power through, right? I think like Doombug's a really. I've talked about this a lot, but I think Doombug's a great example of this. Like when he's losing, like I don't know how it feels inside, but at least like on the outside, you don't see the stress, right? You don't
No.
see like I think that's the thing. Like if you look at some players, like they're more prone to be like discouraged sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You could tell sometimes from the facial expression or they might say it on Twitter or whatever, right? And I think like that mental fortitude and strength is very, very important in trying to like staying afloat. And at the end of the day, like just think about it at the end of the day, right? Like if you lose, you lose. For me, like especially San Diego, I think the less pressure you put on yourself, the better, right? I think the more pressure you put on yourself, like the more
Mhm.
it probably
Yes.
like kind of impacts your, your mental health and stuff. But
Yeah.
like for me, like I remember going to day number two for San Diego. I was like, dude, I'm in the winners bracket, which means I had to lose twice to be knocked out. That means I at least get to be on stream two more times. That's pretty hype, right? In my
Hmm.
mind, I was thinking like, all right, like even if I go 0-2 here, like at least I get to play around on stream, put on a show,
Yeah.
whatever. So
Yeah.
I think try to just like reframe it. Obviously when you're in the moment, like no one wants to lose on stream, right? Like and no one wants to lose and go 0-2 at a regional or 1-2,
Mhm.
um but I think just having that positive mindset, and that resilience is really important.
Yeah, just one final point to piggyback off of what Caleb said. I think you, like you said, reframe. I think you need to focus on your internal locus of control, right?
Mhm.
Focus on what you can do in that second game, that third game, and don't focus on the external, right? The external might be the crowd that's watching, being on stream, a misplay that you made in the past,
Mhm.
being down a game. Like that's all external, right? That's
Yeah.
what's happened in the past. You need to focus on what's right in front of you. And secondly, to my point about practice, that also carries over into the tournament setting. You need to be comfortable with the breaks between rounds and not get cold or hot or anxious or whatever might distract you. And I've said this once before, but Caleb, I could see when Caleb was battling Ramberto, I could see the lock-in screens. Ramberto took the full 3 minutes almost every single time to look at his team, because that's his method, that's his mode,
Mhm.
right? Caleb, he would lock in within 30 seconds. And what I'm getting at is that Caleb makes it a point not to overthink. He doesn't overthink
Mhm.
his line. He says, whatever I see, I think this is a good plan. And whatever I see, I'm just going to play out of it as best I can and just go from there. Whereas Roberto is imagining every single scenario. So if you're a Roberto style player, don't try to be Caleb. If you're Caleb, don't try to be Roberto and sit there for 4 minutes thinking about your teams because you're just going to drive yourself crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and the main thing is like even if you lock in, you should still have a plan, right? And that's
Of
my main thing.
course.
It's like okay, if I see this in the lead, I already know what I'm going to do, right?
Yeah.
For the way I think about it, it's just like I can sit here and think about it all I want. I still might get RPS, right? Like no matter how much you think of it, they might just think of the line to counter yours, right? So
Yeah.
like I always say like sometimes I tell my teammates this too, right? Spend less time like trying to come up with the perfect line and think about how you play out of the bad scenarios with the line you go in with, right? Obviously, like there's some bad lines that you just shouldn't run, but like in general, I mean, especially in a regional, like I mean, at the grand finals, like at that point, like I played all weekend with the team, like I already kind of know what to run, right? And like
Hmm.
generally like what's just bad, right? That's why I wasn't bringing Bastion to every game. I already knew it was just so bad to his team, right? Um, but
Yes.
yeah, so but yeah, different approaches and stuff. I think just finding your own approach and just figuring out how to like capitalize on it. And then the last and final question is, what do you do to manage all the different information you have to track during a game slash sets? What do you do,
Mm,
Speedy?
dude, dude, it's so again, this goes to the preparation phase. Like one of the things that really helped me to win worlds is that I looked at the micro adjustments and movements that I made throughout the match. So for example, if you look at Rainy Cast Form versus Alolan Raichu, you need to know when you can afford to switch in or switch out of a matchup and still win that matchup. So for example, if the Alolan Raichu gets two Volt switches, can my opponent then switch something in and beat me, or do I have a chance to win in a two shield scenario with a two Volt switch advantage?
Hmm.
Like looking at the minor things and just being so incredibly comfortable with what you want to do that you don't have to really think about it. You're like, okay, I've been in this scenario, I know what I need to do, and I'm just going to execute. Because if
Hmm.
you're constantly like second guessing counts, if you're trying to figure out where your opponent is in energy, if you're trying to like, if you have a bunch of question marks in your mind, it's much harder to maintain a clear view of what you want to do. You
Right.
need to have a lot more answers in your mind, or like Caleb said, this is also similar, right? Build in scenarios that you recognize you can leverage to get out of bad
Hmm.
situations.
Yeah. I think my teammate Auburn is like one of the best at this is
Yes.
like retaining information you've seen throughout the match, right? Like if they swap out with energy, knowing how many like mud
Yeah.
shots they rake out off, knowing how close they are to move already, knowing I mean he's not like perfect, like he knows all of it. But if you watch his Charlotte battles, like he is
Hmm.
so on point with his counts, right? And knows exactly like how to min and max like his Pokemon, right? And like I sometimes I'm like okay with it. I definitely make more misplays than someone like Auburn and stuff, and some other people that are really good with their counts. But I think like that's something I do with my patrons as well. Is I would like voice over one of my battles and say like, here's what I'm thinking this time, right? This Swampert left with an Earthquake and I have a Toxapex on a Galarian Stunfisk. Why am I
Hmm.
shielding an Earthquake here from the Galarian
Yes.
Stunfisk when I know they have an Earthquake in the back and I know I don't have one? And at the back of my mind, I'm like, well, I only got one win con, right? Because I have a Bastion as my third Pokemon, so there's no way Bastion takes out Galarian Stunfisk, so I let this Earthquake go. I need a shield and catch the Earthquake from the Swampert on like a low HP Medicham in order to win this, right? That's my only win
Yes.
con, right? And like it sounds
Yep.
like dumb to spend your final shield on Galarian Stunfisk Earthquake when the Swampert, a Shadow Swampert, has an Earthquake in the back. But you just have to say like, I lose either way if I don't shield this Earthquake. My
Yep.
only win con is making a catch, right? So like
Yeah.
again, it's like if you have that knowledge in the back of your mind, like how much energy, how much like what moves they have banked. With that knowledge, you're able to get to the middle stage, which is the decision making, and then the
Yeah.
final stage is the execution, right? So if
Yeah.
you need a once you get to the middle stage, you make the right decision, execute. GG's,
If
world champ
if
in the
you
making.
if you can imagine, again, if you can imagine a game as a juggling act, right? You essentially have five items that you're juggling. I'll just call them like little boxes, right? You've
Yeah,
got
they're not
energy.
swords.
They're not swords, thankfully, right? Because I get stabbed a lot.
You get
The first
stabbed.
one,
Oh, you would get stabbed. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I would get stabbed.
yeah.
So the first one is energy, right? Your energy, your opponent's energy. That's the first box. The second box is team composition, especially if you've only seen one or two Pokemon, you need to predict the
Hmm.
third. The third one is the switch timer. You see a lot of people make insane catches right when the switch timer expires. You need to have like a timer that goes off. As soon as
Hmm.
you see the switch, you need to count mentally, subconsciously 60 seconds into the future, right?
Hmm.
So energy, team comp, switch timer. The fourth one is fast and charge attack intervals, knowing
Mm-hmm.
when to throw. This is like what you do on autopilot when you're in a matchup. And the fifth one is win condition. Like Caleb said, he didn't even say it like straight up, but he if you read into it, you can see what he's getting at, recognizing your win condition when it appears. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the best trainers take like mental snapshots 3 or 4 times a match and say, if I have this information, what are my win conditions? And as Wild Susan Boyle said, before you start a game, you have infinite win conditions. But as the
Mm-hmm.
game progresses, it whittles down to fewer and fewer until maybe you only have one.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Hopefully those were. I know we're a little long-winded on a response, but hopefully those answer your questions, Joe. And
Yeah,
thank you for the comment.
good question.
Triptondo says, "Yeah, I am a fan of the 100, dude. Fantastic show. You should check it out, Speedy, if you have some time. It's good. It's a
We'll
lot of
see.
seasons, but it's good. Hey, come on now. You got Netflix. You just watch on the plane, man. You know." And then he said, the earlier seasons were definitely better than the later ones, but I had to watch the series till the end. I love the quote, "May we meet again," but I use it in a way more positive way than they do in the series. Yeah, and in the way they do it in the series, it's like they say "May we meet again" because they're like about to die, right? So
Oh,
they're like, "Oh, maybe meet again in
spoiler.
another life," or well, they say a lot. A lot of people
I
die in the
I
show,
know.
so
I know.
it's but
Wait, somebody
it's
dies in the show? Oh my god.
dude, episode 1,
Whoa.
episode 0, yeah.
Well, there's only
It's
100
a
left, right?
yeah. Essentially, the show premise is it's like 20 like 2000 like 100 or 2200 something year, right? AD, and the planet went through like a nuclear war, so like the whole
Mhm.
entire planet was like inhabitable, and they have a giant orbiting spaceship around the Earth that hosts like thousands of people, and people from all over the world, like different countries and stuff, are all living in this, and they've had like already like 2 or 3 generations of people at this point on this
Mm.
floating ship, and they need to send 100, that's why I called 100 juvenile like delinquents to Earth to test if it's habitable, because the ship is no longer is about to like run out of like their resources,
Sure.
so they
Yep.
need to guinea pig it, right, for the
Wow.
100. Yeah, yeah. So can you trust 100 juvenile delinquents to test it for you? Because they're like, oh, you need to send us info back to the ship, right? You think
Good
they care?
question.
Yeah, but anyway, it's a great show. It's pretty wild. Mike Daniel says, "Hey guys, I got a question for you. What is the point of battle training option against team leaders? Don't you think they can make more out of the function just to give them random meta Pokemon and don't have delays and shielding the first charge move? I think it would be a real upgrade for the function. Sometimes I'm all done with my sets and still want a battle. Would be nice if I could use some proper sparring battles instead of this nonsense. Anyways, love your podcast. Keep up the good work." Yes, I got an answer for you, Mike. I think the original purpose of this was really because the people that prestiged gyms, right? Remember the prestiging badge? I forgot what it's
Yes.
called. It's like battle against like I don't know,
Uh,
train your Pokemon or something like that, right?
yeah, it's like a boxing glove or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. It's like you train. Like you were no longer able to do that when they got to the newer gym system, which is not that new anymore. But like back in like 20, yeah, I guess like only a year, right? It's only after a year
Mm,
the game releases it changed, right? To the old gym.
yes.
So 2017 was when they introduced the new gym system. The gym system hasn't changed since 2017, man. 6 years, wild.
Yeah.
But so once they had that, you couldn't prestige, you couldn't train up your own gym, or you couldn't battle your own gym. So people were stuck on that badge,
Yeah.
and some people were literally at like 999, right? They literally couldn't get that final one to get that gold. And then they brought that on, and then now people were able to get that badge by training, right? So it's a way to just farm that training badge essentially.
Hmm.
Honestly, I think that's the main reason they did it. I don't think there's any real purpose to it. And the only thing I use it for, I do use it like daily. The reason why I use it is just to get my buddy hearts for my Pokemon.
Yep.
Use them in
Same.
battle, and that's it. That's literally it. Like it's easy peasy. I just go in, I quit out, I get this heart. You don't have to battle the whole thing. You used to have to battle the whole thing for a while, but you don't have to battle the whole thing anymore.
Hmm.
It's I don't know, Mike. You bring up a great point though. It doesn't really serve
Yeah.
any purpose besides those two, in my opinion. I mean, I guess you could like test out like charging the animations if you're trying to teach someone how to play a game. Like, oh, like
Yeah.
try
True.
throwing Dazzling just the animation. But like honestly, like after like 10 minutes, like what else are you gonna do with that, right?
It's a very basic way for people to put themselves into a 1v1 scenario that's similar to rockets and PvP, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're in a comfortable environment, you're with your team leader. It's very much like a gateway style thing. Because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, think about it. You're either in a gym battling, with probably your friends in a circle, or you're in a raid battling with your other friends in a circle against one opponent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't. I don't think it has a huge purpose beyond that. Could it expand into much better things? And should gyms and team leaders be remodeled? Yes, and yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, and all the above.
All the
Manning
above.
says, "Who cares about being the GOAT in basketball? It doesn't matter if you're good in such a niche sport, as long as you're not the GOAT in soccer, which you what are you actually even doing?" The
Thank you,
viewership
Mike.
of soccer games is 69% higher than the viewership of basketball games. So you two better get our expletive together because this is the worst sports podcast I've ever listened to. P.S. I will listen to the next episode anyways because I need to fuel my rage. I mean, you're talking about soccer, Manny. I know you love football. Your whole username is
Dude,
based off of
y-
Eli Manning here, right? Come on now,
dude,
big Giants fan.
you know that Manning is shouting out to my comments to Squirrel Trapper from last time, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah,
I was like, why should anybody waste their time with anything besides Dota, right? Or League of Legends?
yeah.
Dude,
Dude,
Manning, you're the man, literally.
Manny's trying to take the ultimate troll spot from Squirrel Trapper. It's a back and forth struggle.
Do it,
Because Squirrel
Manning, do
Trapper's
it.
more serious. He doesn't even realize he's a real troll.
Exactly.
Manny dropped a bunch of emotes in this one too. It's some clown emojis.
Manning is like I know, dude, it's so good.
Oh, Manny's
Manning
so funny.
is like he's like the Batman, right? Everybody on the outside's scared of him, but on the inside, he's actually a good guy. And then Squirrel Trapper's just straight up the Joker.
Yeah, yeah, he really is. I feel like the Joker's like giving too much credit. I say like maybe like the Riddler, like a smaller
The
villain.
Riddler.
Yeah, a smaller villain.
Oh, he's Cobblepot. He's the Penguin.
That I can see. He does
Ah,
act like
yeah,
Penguin, acting like he's like high and mighty and stuff, right? Fancier than anyone else. Anyway, I
yeah.
can't wait till the next Scroll Trapper comment. Justin says, I wrote an in-depth comment about how MJ was clearly better than LeBron, but then deleted it because too long.
Bring it
Summary,
back.
MJ was better, which is clear by nearly every subjective and objective metric. RC Cole, you listen, man. I know you listen.
RC.
Justin continues. Also, recency bias is real as evidenced by the fact that we're having this debate. Anyway, the most interesting part of the Spark event, which is somehow way worse than the Mystic Non event, despite having a new Pokemon, new shinies, double hatch dust, were the boxes. As everyone knows, the boxes are hot garbage. Yeah, he said, I missed that catchphrase. Yeah, we gotta bring it back because there's some hot garbage going on these days.
Oh yeah.
But the new Voyager box is relatively unterrible. I like that phrase. I was having an internal argument. It's not great, but Niantic's probably not going to stop being awful to players anytime soon. So maybe I should just get it when I realized what I was doing. I used to merely spend coins on adventure boxes and remote raid passes, and now I feel bad spending any coins on anything. I don't even know what I'm hoping for at this point. I don't want the game to implode, though it feels like that's happening anyway, but I also kind of do so somebody is forced to fix it. Well, glad you guys are here anyway, and I didn't buy the box. And then Nathan responds, objectively better in what ways? Braun has more points, assists,
Here we
rebounds,
go.
blocks, more playoff points, rebounds, and assists, more final experience in more talent filled league while taking terms that had no business being there 07 and while taking teams that had no business being there 07 18 especially carry teams that otherwise were trash before and after he was there when MJ went to baseball and both still made the playoffs. What objective measures are you trying to point out?
I just want to hand that to RC Cola. I think that's for him to set up there
Yeah.
personally.
And the Justin response, damn, you called me on my hot take. It is
Oh,
definitely
here we
more nuanced
go.
than I implied. Those stats you reference are consequent to LeBron's playing almost 50% more games than MJ. Of course, they're going to favor the guy who played a lot more games. The stats I refer to above are those comparing peak MJ with peak LeBron. When compared, MJ goes out on top in most categories of importance. For example, he cracked 10 VORP as incredible 6 seasons out of 15. What's VROP stand for?
I'll research it
Okay.
while you comment.
Is this efficiency rating? Anyways, whereas LeBron only did that twice in 2008 and 2009 with the Cavs out of 20 seasons. So he did
Mm.
6 out of 15, whereas 2 out of 20. That's 20 seasons so far. That's a pattern that's,
VO
yeah,
Go ahead, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, yeah. What's the VORP stand for?
VORP stands for value over replacement player, which is a calculation of the number of points that a player contributed per 100 team possessions above a replacement level player. So if you bring somebody in from the bench, are they going to be as efficient as the person you're talking about?
Oh, gotcha. Wow, that's an interesting stat line. I
Dude,
know there's an
I'm telling you, this
efficiency
could go
number
really
too.
deep.
Yeah,
This could
yeah.
go very deep. And when I hit the show more, and my comment section went so deep that I had to scroll up, I knew this was going to be a bear.
Dude, by episode 200, this debate still could be going on. Justin continues, the totals will always, all right, so that's a pattern that's repeated in BP,
BPM.
BPM, win shares, WS/48, offensive win shares, and even usage percentage. Almost every advanced metric that accounts for environment, teams, league, etc., favors MJ. The totals will always go LBJ's way just through sheer volume, which is actually, in my opinion, the best argument for why LBJ is greater. His window of greatness has extended an almost unfathomable length of time. Definitely can't argue with that one. It's been great to watch his career arc, and I'll miss him when it's over. But I still favor MJ overall, and this is way too much sports talk for a Go podcast. Kevin, so I'll stop here. Thanks, Nathan, for calling me out on this one.
Dude,
Uh,
that's okay. So that is when you think you know something and you ask somebody and they really know their stuff. BPM, for those of you that don't know, including myself, stands for box plus minus. This is based on the box store. Sorry, I'm just going to start over. This is based on the box score for evaluating basketball players' quality and contribution to the team from play by play regression. BPM takes box score stats from an individual and team level and tries to estimate player performance relative to the NBA average. This goes deep, Caleb. This is, forgive my French. This is numbers porn, right? We're going like real deep into the statistics here.
mm-hmm. Yeah, our friends at Dracovic
Telling
will
you.
love that stuff too.
Yeah, I'm sure
Um,
Paulie is stimulated by this if he's
and
listening.
Paul is a big basketball fan too. Actually, I should have asked. We should.
Dude.
Did we even ask him last week? Right? I need to
No,
ask
we
him
didn't.
later.
Basketball didn't come up at all. No.
Yeah, we should ask him who he thinks the GOAT is. He plays. So funny enough, I used to work at the university he was a PhD student at, and I was the coach of our weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting club, and so the weight room was right past the basketball courts, the indoor basketball courts,
Mm. Mhm.
and I kid you not, pre-COVID when I was going to the gym, I think I'd see Polly like 2 or 3 times a week when and I was only in practice like 4 times a week, right? So it would be majority of the time I'm walking by like late afternoon, like early evening, and he's always playing basketball on the courts, like just pick up basketball with people, right? And this guy's
Mhm.
just laying his body on the line. He's like diving for everything, right? Like I don't even know he's making the best plays, but he's like going hard, right? And so I remember walking, I walked by him, he's just like diving at my feet while I'm walking by. I'm like, oh damn,
Holy
okay,
crap.
all right. Got some yeah, I got a little hooper here. Anyway, so I know he likes his basketball. I'm curious what his thoughts are on this. Anyway, I mean Palmer Sub is probably listening to this, so let us know in some comments down the road in episode 99, I guess. Michael Davis says, I want to give a solid endorsement to Charles Whalen's comment about a master's division for those of us over 55. I can't play GBL or my factions battles without my readers. I've watched some factions recap with Swampier's battles, and that guy's reflexes are insane compared to mine. Yeah, Swampier is definitely a younger trainer. That would be interesting. Honestly, I think like if we continue growing the esport, I think that is a potential. We'll have to see though, because I don't think they do a masters division for like any esport, but that would be a good way to like improve inclusivity and also like longevity and stuff. It could be interesting. I don't know. We'll have to
I
talk to
agree.
Daniel about it and TPCI, but that obviously will not be something coming out anytime soon.
No.
But hey, let me just say, there are definitely some badass battlers out there that are definitely older as well too. I've lost to
Dude.
plenty, so don't count yourself out. Even if you have the readers on, no shame in
Hey.
that.
Nope.
Sabine Keller says Squirrel Trapper will be the only one to show up on the next regionals without a Squirrel Trapper shirt.
Stop.
And then
That's how
Sabino
we'll know.
says, yeah, Sabino says, thank you, Caleb and Speedy. Thank you so much for giving me more information around grassroots tournaments and where I might find some footage. I'll go on my hunts. Yeah, speaking of grassroots, it's still grassroots is dying off, but I'm hopeful. So, continuing on Sunday, I actually managed to stumble across the charity battles on Pranav's Twitch channel. I really enjoyed watching some of those battles. They were so great, but it was difficult to stay awake since I live in northern Germany and it got very
Oh
late
my
there. I
goodness.
watched more at some point of time. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to do so. One thing I also really enjoyed was to watch how casting. He looked so amazed all the time. That was so contagious, and it even double the fun uh, I already had watching. Yeah, it's kind of cool too because a lot of these grassroots tournaments, the shoutcasting, you see the face cams. For official like tournament stuff, we don't have face cams during the battles,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
I still prefer because I think from a of official esports like situation, that is ideal, right? That is how esports are casted. You don't want to look
Mhm.
at like you want to look at the information on screen, especially with like MOBAs and other stuff and shooters. Like there's just too much going on screen to like look at the casters' faces.
Yep.
But it is a nice little like wrinkle that you have in grassroots. I will
Yeah.
say too, if you like the graphics, like team graphics from that tournament, yo, shout out to Speedy, man. He made those graphics. They look good. I don't know what did you make that. Like I don't even know where you got these graphics from, man. Those are some really cool Pokemon. They look like almost like dude. Speak about like Rising Heroes. That was like the Rising Heroes graphic I was hoping for, right? That looked like a
Dude,
comic book, right? With the stuff. It looked really cool, like action figures.
that honestly, that means a lot to me because that was the whole goal, right? If you go to
Mm-hmm.
the Catch a Million website, a lot of their stuff is based around being a hero, right? Trying to
Mm,
actually help people in a
love that.
selfless way. And a lot of the graphics they use are comic based. Like they're trainers that, for example, were like the leaders for these for the fundraiser were like caricatures. They were like comic book versions of the people. They weren't actual photos
Mm.
of them, right?
Wow, wow,
Like
wow.
drawings. So again, like when we say missed opportunities for Niantic and Rising Heroes, it just fit, right? Because Rising Heroes is the current season, and then it was a comic book theme for the Catch a Million fundraiser. So it just like it all came together. And thank you for the kind words, man. It was really fun to put that together. I want to mention as well. I think Pranav is going to drop this news very soon, probably this week. But first of all, Sabine, thank you for tuning into the stream. You are a big part of the reason that our stream for that fundraiser for the St. Baldrick's Catch a Million, which is an annual thing, happens every year in April. People like you coming to the stream are a big reason why we were the biggest donator, the biggest single donator to the foundation this year. That tournament stream
That's
raised more
huge.
money than any other people, any other person or group that contributed to the fundraiser.
That's amazing. That's incredible. Yeah, I think shout out to everyone donated and was involved in it too. I mean, I think that's something I love about Go. That's something that actually inspired me to go full time in content creation with
Mhm.
Go. Is that like there's more. It's not. It's more than just a video game, right? You could do these fundraisers and charities that we had over the years and
Mhm.
make an impact outside just playing a video game, right? Which is what I was like. Wow. I was like, okay, there's something to
Yeah,
this.
agreed.
JK says, "Yo, can you put a section divider on the podcast between the comment replies and the content, dude? Can do.
Fair
I mean,
point.
I don't know.
Fair
I don't
point.
think it's possible for me to do it for the audio version, but for YouTube, yeah, I'll put a little timestamp there because I know a lot of people love the goat discussion with NBA stuff, but not everyone's a fan. Starting from
I
episode
get it. I
99
get it.
from this episode. Yeah. The Jim Jammer says Baconator reigns supreme. Spicy chicken is decent as well. I mean, it was not supreme
Hey,
in your intestines that day, unfortunately.
it
But
was yeah. It was. There are hits and misses, and that was a
yeah,
miss. But generally, yes, Baconator
yeah.
is Bay.
Uso45 says, "Hello, class. Longtime listener since episode 1 on Spotify and just recently swapped to
Woo!
YouTube. I used to let episodes stack for long trips until I realized I'm listening. You guys gave tips on events that happened months ago. New PP feature to spice things up and piss off everyone. Remember how charge moves used to be taking a jackhammer to your screen to tap the circle? Change it up again. Now you have Pokeball in the center of your screen. You have to physically move the phone up and down to hit the bubbles.
Oh my god!
Dude, that'd be like playing Flappy Bird.
Right? It would. It would.
Oh man, we got some more goat talk. Prep yourselves. All right, Conky says goat talk again. To clarify, I've been a Nuggets fan since I've liked the NBA, and Carmelo was my favorite player, not LeBron or his teams. And I was fortunate enough to see Jordan as a kid. But I can appreciate greatness when I see it. LeBron was drafted '03, MJ's last year in the league, and only 5 years after his last um, championship. But different eras, right? Also, MJ age showed late stats declined a lot in the late 30s, unlike LeBron's. So
Mhm.
he got drafted into a tougher era and then had to adjust to the current 3 point era mid career, in which he still won rings. Talent and scoring are way up now, like in the 80s when they had to expand the league and teams weren't as good all around in the 90s. The NBA could do for another expansion. Now let's talk about the flops. Yes, he flopped. The flop era came about by the NBA calling more fouls. All players took advantage of it. Therefore, either criticize or asterisk every player in the last 10 years or more, or none.
Or none.
LeBron is 6'8", 240 plus pounds. Would he even get all the fouls on him if he didn't? Ask yourself if you see other people in the same league doing the same thing you do, but are getting fouls and you're just taking the hits. what would you do? Also, not defending flopping. I don't care for it, and it got overplayed, but that's how the game was called. And don't tell me players from other eras wouldn't do it if they played now. That would be tactically stupid.
Yeah, this
I
is
gotta say that's my own litmus test, Conky. I don't disagree with you. That it might be the meta stuff, but I'm not into it.
Yeah,
I'm not into it.
and that's the thing, right? Like as sports look here. Here's the thing, right? As sports change throughout the years, people gain and lose interest, right?
Hmm.
I think that if you look at football, if you look at the concussion protocols, the targeting, right? There's a lot of debate about what's safe and what isn't. I think that a lot of the players are probably happy that they're more protected, but a lot of the fans, right? Famously, former President Trump would say, "Oh, football is soft. It's not like it
Hmm.
used to be. They should really hit each other." There's all those kinds of arguments that can be made. And goes back to what RC said. Flopping, for better or worse, is the meta. And a lot of people will decide to watch it or not to watch it for
Hmm.
those reasons, right? So maybe Caleb and I are just kind of boomers because I mean, I don't love watching the flopping either. But like you said, it would be stupid to like take a bunch of hits and not get free throws or penalty throws for it when you're in this meta. I mean,
I
it just
think
makes sense.
yeah, I don't know if it would like go against his contract stuff. He might be fine for it. But I think if I'm in the position of LeBron with that much influence, seen as the best player in the current like in modern day time,
Hmm.
why not just raise awareness around the issue and call out the league commissioners or whatever? Again, you might get fined for it. I don't know. Host like a campaign, whatever, right? But just call people out for it. Like you don't say refs made bad calls. Be like, call out the other players. I don't know. Like do something, right? Like change the culture. Don't just fall into it. In my opinion, right? I think that's what a true leader does. Is when you see something wrong, you don't just go into it because that's what everyone else is doing. You set a new standard, right? That's my
Hmm.
expectation. Again, like I'm not LeBron. I'm not in that position of power, so I can't say anything. I will give an example of you know like I think I'm always kind of resistant to some of the things if I just don't believe in it. But one example is for coaching. This might be not be the best example parallel, but like coaching for GBL, right? When you're coaching and stuff, right?
Hmm.
I know there was a lot of controversy back in the day where people were like piloting their students, right? Be like, oh, you do this,
Yes.
swap her to this, blah blah, right? And I do my best actually not to do any piloting because in my opinion, I was like, look, you make your decision. I'll tell you what you could have done better afterward, right? Because you're not gonna learn as much if I just tell you like, hey, swap after this, do after this, right?
Mhm.
I'll be like, I don't know about that swap, right? Or I don't know about this, right? And sometimes I'll be wrong, but a lot of times I'll be correct in my assessment of it after the fact. But I think, again, ethically speaking, I don't love the concept of piloting, right? Is there anything TOS or like illegal about it? No. But
Mhm.
again, for me, like it's something I don't agree with, and I would never be the kind of coach in PvP to pilot, right? And I think for the betterment of my patrons and my students, uh, hopefully that goes better long term. I do a lot of feedback
Agreed.
videos for my patrons too, instead of just like just live stream coaching as well. But um, that's just me. Again, maybe I'm like I definitely know that of people in the world, I'm always gonna be more on the extreme side. Like those surveys, right? Where they're like, answer from like 0 to 5, like how you feel, right? I'm always a 0 or 5. I'm not like the middle, dude. I say this actually with my team for factions, right? For Cool Cats, every week our Twastel, our teammate, posts a poll, like a poll saying like
Mhm.
how available are you to play this week, right? 0 as not
Sure.
available at all. 5 as like I really want to play, right? I'm free. I have a lot of time and
Mhm.
stuff. I'm almost the only person to ever put 5. It literally should just be Caleb's like category, and everyone else is like a bunch of 4s or 3s or 2s and 1s, right? Or 0s, right? But I literally am almost the only person that puts 5. I think Coach Mom actually put 5 for this week too, so she'll be playing as well. But typically
Yeah.
speaking, it's just me, right? But again, I know I'm on the extreme end, right? And so, um, yeah, I'm not without faults, but I think that's kind of how I feel about the flop situation. I don't
Me
know, maybe
too.
a different time, maybe a different era. Maybe if Kobe was playing Activator this time, MJ was playing Activator this time, they'd be flopping too. But
Mhm.
I can't judge off of that. Anyway,
Yeah.
again, I still think he's the best player of this decade of modern day time by any
Oh,
means, right?
obviously.
We're just talking about the best of all time
Yeah.
of all years, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I'm also
Yeah.
not like I'm not the most well versed in basketball, right? I wasn't able to pull all those stats like Justin was as well and some other people. So our
Yeah.
opinion on this is take it with a grain or a handful of salt, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Michael Perez says, "What feature do you think in Pokemon Go does not need an update slash fix?"
Oh shoot!
There's a couple questions, so we'll talk
Much
about those.
harder question.
Yeah. Good question. Quick catching? I mean, fast
Yeah.
catching, I'm glad they never patched that, right? Um, that was nice. I don't know. I'm blanking. I mean, honestly, I will say I feel like PvP was a happy accident, right? I see like almost like Super Smash Bros. Melee as this, right? Like PvP ends up being way more competitive and nuanced than they probably intended it, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of nuance to it. It seems so simple, like three Pokemon, you have a switch timer, you go in and out and stuff like that. But there's so many little intricacies and strategies you can implement into it that makes it a lot more fun and
Hmm.
detailed than we would have anticipated. And I do appreciate Niantic and their original developers for PP on that.
Hmm.
But how intentional that was, different story. But I will say there's a lot of quality of life updates that happen over the years, and it's hard to see until you compare it to back in the day. Like if you look at old PP footage, you're like, "What am I looking at?" The switch thing, huge change, right? You can just click
The
on, but
Switch
you don't have to.
tray.
Yeah, you don't have to pull up the switch tray and click on like the Pokemon. Like that was a huge change for the better, right?
Yep.
Big props to Niantic for that one, right? I will say that.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you?
No, no, no. I agree. I feel like again, a lot of the a lot of the changes are so gradual, right? Even the changes in font, when you look at the game from when it first started versus now, or the changes in the layout, when you look at a Pokemon and you scroll, like how the assets are organized on the screen, there's so many subtle changes that have happened. The one thing I'm happy with right now is actually the Team Rocket in encounter. So I think the Team Rocket encounter is very good. You get, your Stardust, you get to catch a shadow Pokemon. There are three Pokemon that you have to battle. There is a delay between switches and new Pokemon coming in, so you can actually overfarm energy, learn how to stack your moves. You can, play around with switches. You can learn your typings. And when you beat the Team Rocket leader, you get the 12-kilometer egg, which I think is also pretty cool.
Yeah,
Honestly, I'm very happy with how Team Rocket encounters are right now in the game, and I don't think they need to change.
I agree with you there. I think that's a great one too. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
I like that. All right. Second question: What was the last positive and meaningful feature released on Pokemon Go? Update does not count like Mega Rework. Um,
Mega Rework was what I was going to say.
yeah, Mega Rework is a good one. That's actually a pretty good one. Eh, I will say this is something small. I don't even know if this is the most meaningful, but like back in the day, if you're if let's say you're like outside of a rage radius and your bag is full, you had to
Hmm.
like you couldn't go back. You had to like transfer Pokemon and go back in, right? And you had to go back to the gym, right? Or if expired, right? Then you just can't catch it at all. Nowadays, if your Pokemon storage is full, it takes you to your Pokemon storage. You could transfer something and then go and catch the counter. Even if I think if the raid
Yep.
expired, but also definitely if you're outside the raid radius. It's like a small quality of life thing that I didn't notice until I had like max out like storage. But it
Mhm.
is it's just like a little thing that I think is nice. Yeah. Again, I don't know if it's like
Yeah.
hugely meaningful, but
Yeah, I did appreciate the refresh they gave to gyms. If you look at gyms from a year ago
mhm.
versus like raids now, excuse, I should say raids. If you look at raid like graphics and battles from a year ago versus now, I do think that the refresh was nice. They gave it a better look. It looks a lot more clean. I think updates like that, just like I was talking about with the UI, I think minor updates in quality can always be tweaked and improved, and it helps the game feel better. New, fresh, etc. I think they should
Mhm.
look at doing more of that.
Yeah, I agree.
But
And then to continue on continue on with this comment. With that in mind, with new feature and capability, would you see released and when? Or what new feature capability would you want to see released and when? I think abilities would be better than items, but items is easier to implement into PvP and PvE and needs to be this year in 2023. Thanks for the episodes and looking forward to one day being a possible guest. Yeah, for sure. I think yeah, abilities are interesting too. I mean, I think it definitely makes things very different. So I would love to see that. Honestly, abilities and items in general, I think are good, right? Because they're built into the main series game, right? Obviously, the way you implement it for Pokemon Go PP is still going to be different from VGC, so you can still have differences, but have that function, right? I think it's a good diversity to the game. I mean, just think about like you know, I guess the charge room mini game wasn't that big of a deal, but when they first released the charge room mini games they were like very different. You weren't just tapping away, right? You see like the grass one's different. I remember watching Valor Ash's video on it on how to do the different patterns, right? And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. But
Mhm.
once you get used to that patterns, it's not a big deal, right? Everyone can do all the charge, the mini game stuff at this point. But I think yeah, having abilities definitely changes a lot of strategy stuff. I think the items are really cool because the abilities, like let's say, like I don't know, let's say leash life is an ability, right? And it's like the preferred move on Venusaur over Frenzy Plant for
Yeah.
whatever reason, right? Everyone's gonna
Mhm.
still run leash life, right? So like, yeah, the meta changes, but at the same time, like everyone's still doing the same kind of meta change. Whereas items, I think, can be really cool because if the items are balanced enough that all items have like, or a lot of items have utility, it just depends on how you want to customize your team. That would be so cool, right? Because you show up with it. Because I'm example because I'm team building for Hartford right now. I'm team building for Hartford. I'm like trying to figure out like what I have checks for, what I want, how do I handle different things, what I'm going for with my team. Having items to customize on top of your roster can really
Mhm.
change up the coverage you're looking for, what you're trying to get out after, like different strategies you can implement. Which I think like abilities are really cool in my opinion, but I think items like further like diversifies metas potentially.
Mhm. Mhm.
Again, it depends on how the item does, right? But even if like an item says like you do one extra damage for every fast move, right? Yo, Altaria mirrors completely different, right? Like there's
Yeah.
so many like little cool things you can do with that, right? Or like or inherently raise the attack of your Pokemon so that now all of a sudden your Pokemon's winning charging priority when it shouldn't, right? You're like, wait, what the heck? How did how did Glenn Stumpins beat my Noctowl to charging priority, right?
Yep.
So it could be
Exactly.
like little things like that. I think could be really cool.
I think it's also important to think about how the different Pokemon games relate to each other.
Hmm.
So, for example, in Unite, you have held items, you also have battle items, and you have the three held items, and you have one single battle item, whether it's the slow smoke, eject button, etc.
Hmm.
And then in VG, obviously, you have the held item, and even in open team sheets, some information is revealed in certain games, and some isn't. I think it's important to borrow from the other games, but also maintain Pokemon Go as its own separate entity because it allows you to innovate a lot more. Um, for example, in-game combat, right? Like Caleb was saying, leech life that leads into things like recovery or burn or
Hmm.
paralyze. I don't know if things like paralyze and sleep will ever really translate over to Pokemon Go. I think that because it's so fast and turn-based, I'm not sure that it makes a lot of sense. But I do think there are other things that you can do that are very special. I mentioned this before, but variable energy cost would actually be really dynamic. I also
Hmm.
think that variable switch timer charge attacks would be dynamic. For example, if you had well, I'm just going to use Volt Switch as the example. In Go, it's a fast move, right? But in the
Yeah.
main series game, it forces the opponent to switch out. What if you had something like U Turn in Pokemon Go and you use it as a charge attack and it forces your opponent to switch, but they're only on like a 15 or 20-second timer, not a 60
Dude,
second
that'd be
timer?
so wild.
It would be
Commentating
insane,
that would be
right?
so fun too.
It would be
Yeah.
insane. Now that's from the PvP side, right? I think there's a lot you can do there. But if you look at the PvE side, I was actually just thinking about this. Again, I'm just gonna lead in and say it, Caleb. If any Niantic employees are listening, please take our freaking ideas, please.
Dude, that should be a
I just,
merch.
dude, if
Anyone
any
from
Niantic
Niantic listening?
employees are listening,
Yeah.
dude,
Dude,
I
hot
literally,
garbage too. I can see it as well.
I literally have been sitting here, right, and I'll walk you through my thought process while you were talking. So you remember the old charge attack
Hmm.
mini game where you just like tap the button as hard as you could?
Hmm.
While annoying and stupid, it actually forced players to be more interactive with the game because you actually had to
Hmm.
pay attention, you had to tap, you had to watch the bubble increase, and you had to exert effort into the game, right?
Hmm.
The charge move mini game is much more elegant. You're actually able to swipe the mini games. It still keeps your eyes maintained, and it's a lot more of like a dexterity thing, but
Yeah.
it's not like effort intensive. What if in PvE raids became more interactive in the sense that randomly throughout the combat, if you can imagine God of War, if you've ever played that or seen footage of
I've seen
that,
footage of it. Yeah.
right? When you're fighting an opponent, there's actually like a prompt on the screen that says like press square to do your next
Mm.
move.
Yeah.
What if during raids at random intervals throughout the raid, there would be like a critical hit button and you had to press your charge move and then tap on it to increase the strength of it to get a critical hit on the raid boss.
Ooh.
For
To
example,
bounce it
that
out, the
could
raid boss
change.
can also critical hit you too. So you
Sure, sure,
so you have to
exactly.
pay attention. More reason
So
to
so what
dodge, like
Yeah,
to
more
dodge your
reason to
moves. Yeah.
dodge. Thank you. Exactly. It makes because think about raiding right now, dude. If you have a strong party, if you have more than three or
Definitely.
four people, you can just literally be in the car. Not saying I would ever do this. You can be in the car, one hand on the steering wheel, eyes on the road, hand on the other hand on the phone, just tapping with your thumb. And then eventually, if your thumb is like in the proximity of your charge moves, you just do your moves and that's it. Raiding is very much an
Hmm.
autopilot thing, but
It
there's so
is.
many opportunities to make it more interactive, to make it more exciting, and to make people actually spend effort when they're
Hmm.
doing something to make it more fun.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, also, you could be like Tua Butters in raids these days. He just throws one move at the end to get last hit to seem like he did something. Otherwise, he doesn't do anything. I'm like, no one's gonna believe you carried the team when you're last hitting with an Empoleon. Like, come on. Like, that's what he's doing for
Exactly.
Cleavor raids at the reach at
Oh my
the
god,
regional. Yeah.
Butters, dude.
Yeah. What
But
a
yeah,
character.
but again, Niantic, please take our ideas. Caleb and I are available for
Please.
hire. I think we both do consulting work for you for payment, and we'd be happy to do that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Colgrove says, "Looks like I have some solid peeps who agree with me that LeBron is the GOAT. We love to see it. I still rest my case until Speedy and Caleb consult my video evidence I've submitted as conclusive evidence. Their arguments are null and void." I don't know. You need to submit evidence of the contrary too, so we could have a balanced approach, right? I'm not going to hit
Dude,
up like Justin to have him send me 100 videos as well to balance it out.
dude,
That is
Ryan's the best. He's the best, man.
Board Stiff says, "Hey guys, I don't know if you're going to talk about Cleavor this week at all, but I have a couple things to highlight about the Cleavor event. There's absolutely zero precedent for being unable to evolve Cleavor from Scyther. You may point to the Hisua or Alolan variant evolutions, but those are not unique species. If you want a Cleavor in your decks, despite it being a Scyther evolution and giving Scyther candies, you must raid it. Secondly, on the back of that, despite evolving from Scyther, catching Cleavor did not guarantee Scyther XL candies. Yes, that's correct. And you generally get more value for your time by knocking out a few Mega Scizors instead. Individually, these are relatively small issues. However, they don't exist in a vacuum. I feel like are indicative of the larger lack of polish currently within the game. 100% agree with you, Port Stiff. Also, Speedy, how do you prepare for not only what's in front of you, but what's behind ahead of you if your opponent's team is invisible? I love that.
Oh my god. Board
So
stiff to your last
funny,
point. To your
dude.
last point, man, you just have to think about Luke Skywalker when he first started his Jedi training, and he put on the blindfold, and the laser was just shocking him.
So good, so good.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
dude, that needs to be on a shirt too.
dude, for
It's gonna be me
real.
scratching my head as a picture of like what's going on. Yeah, no, I agree with you on Cleaver rate. I mean, I think plain and simple, I think we can make this assumption. It might not be true, but I think we all kind of know you can't evolve Scyther because if you can evolve Scyther into Cleavor, no one's gonna rate Cleavor, right? So like I think they're gonna maybe allow you to evolve Scyther into Cleavor down the road. I think the XL thing is probably just like a complete oversight
A
and
screw up.
yeah, like maybe more sloppiness or whatever. Like the lack of polish, like you said, right?
Yeah,
But I think the fact that you can't evolve it, it's definitely because they just don't want you to. They want you to rate it. Which is why
yeah,
I personally, after I spent my free raid passes, I didn't rate a single one. I was like, you know
same.
what? I could wait for a shiny Cleaver. I could just evolve a shiny Scyther down the road, right? It's not.
Yep,
I'm also not a big shiny hunter, but
exactly.
I don't blame people that did. But I'm just saying, like for me personally, like it was not a draw. But
Yeah. And you know what it tells us subtly. This is the last point I'll make on this question because we've been on questions for over an hour, but these are really damn good questions.
yeah,
The last point I'll make subtly is that this also indicates to us that Niantic can change the rules when they want to, and it
hmm
means that maybe they have a bit more flexibility with the Pokemon IP than we previously thought.
yeah, yeah. I actually, I mean, just my own speculation. I don't think the Pokemon company has as much control over what Niantic does on a day-to-day operational basis as people assume. People like, 'cause I think back in the day, be like, oh, what if it's the Pokemon company that said this? What if it's that they're the ones that didn't want the remote raid stuff, blah blah blah. I honestly think we take Niantic at their word on that blog post with the remote raid and said we want people going out there. This is our mission. Blah blah blah. Like I don't think there's any hidden message there. But like TPCI is doing this, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
again, like I think that's just my own guess, right? I think like I don't think they're lying to us. Actually, I think this is
Yeah,
just their own ideas, right? Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm sure like TPCI definitely has impact on some of their operations and decision making, but I think it's a lot less than we assume. especially the XL thing,
Agreed.
right? But yeah, Sabine Keller says this goes out to Gabby, Caleb, Wholesome, and Butters. Oh my goodness, folks, you all were a real sight for sore eyes this weekend. All of
Oh,
you guys really looked so incredibly great. I wonder what Speedy would have worn if he had been there as well. Yeah, this is related to Portland. Well, we'll have to see because Speedy's going to be at Hartford, Connecticut this upcoming weekend.
it's
So
true.
it'll be you. We got the announcement today. This is Monday, so by the time you hear this, it's a couple days after. Speedy, Butters, Wholesome, and Mark's son. What a
Yes.
cast! What a quad of
What a, yo,
gentlemen there we have. And
as they
I'll be
once
there
said,
competing. Yeah.
the boys are back in town, so they say.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be there competing. Alpha Phi will also be there competing as well as another caster going. I don't think there's any other casters. Oh, Gabby is she's commentating
VG, right?
VGC, right? Yeah, she'll be there too,
Yeah,
but she'll be commentating VGC. Yeah.
that's
I
true.
think those are all for the casters that'll be at the event. But yeah, it should be a good one. Over 170 people now. Hartford, Connecticut. Can we
Dude,
get 200?
biggest one yet.
I don't know, but
I hope
200 would be
so.
cool. 200 would be cool. I hope that I just have a bunch of no shows and I could just breeze through the bracket.
As I say, dude, this
Just
might be
kidding.
my second time this season casting your battles. We're gonna find out.
I don't know. If I do poorly, you won't see the light of day of my weird team.
Okay.
E110 says, "Hi guys, been listening since episode 1, but first time commenting, and I will be needing Speedy's book on getting all this Stardust and always winning the Stardust bets. P.S. Jordan is the GOAT." Yo, another
Yo,
Jordan fan. I like it. I like it.
E1, if you weren't already my favorite, you just solidified it. All right. Thank you.
You know,
Thank you so much, E1, for all your support of Caleb and I.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was talking to E110 earlier. He's one of my patrons I was coaching too, and he
Yeah.
was like, "Man, what is Speedy doing on the Stardust?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm AR quick catching too. Like, what? Like, I need to see
Dude,
where you're going in Mississippi, right? Like,
dude.
I know it's
We'll make a documentary, dude. You can ride with me and we'll just have like a GoPro film us in the car.
it's a bayou city, right?
It's about an hour from the coast. So technically it's inland, but
Mm.
yeah.
Anyway, I heard bayou city
Dude,
just means like it's like a swamp city, but
no, it's
oh,
not quite. Like when
okay.
Hurricane Katrina hit, the people south of us were hit a lot worse because they had a lot more
Mm.
water. They were much more
Gotcha,
like bayou
gotcha.
cities, but Picayune's a bit more dry. Dude, I have I'm serious. If you look at my city online, 11,000 people live here. It's tiny. It's
I
absolutely
know.
tiny.
That's why I'm like literally shocked. I'm in LA.
Dude,
Like, there's how am I
I
losing
got
these Stardust
skills.
bets?
I got skills, bro.
I mean, the upcoming one, we'll talk about this, but I think neither of us really want to do the
Yeah.
Stardust bets. I actually think I have a better chance of winning it than you do, but
I don't think it's a good idea for us to commit to a Stardust bet during working hours. That would not be good
you're working.
optics.
I'm just playing. I might not even playing day 2, so I could be catching the whole time. Anyway, Toisel says we definitely should track our dust though, because I want to see what the dust bonus looks like
Yeah.
at the venue, right? 2 to 5 is the venue.
Oh,
Ooh,
true.
could be pretty good. Toisel says chances we see Speedy compete in Mexico City. Eyes emoji. I'm a fan of the 100 too. I still need to get around watching the final season, but I've seen the rest of it and really liked it. Yeah, I'm telling you, the 100, man, it's a good show. And then he also says Slowest Chief 2 seems like a much more appropriate name, to be honest. It took over a month before he shaved the beard, and we're still waiting on the one chip challenge. That's true. I assume the chip's not here, right?
Look. No offense to Caleb, but I got to give you guys a reason to come back. Just kidding.
Come on now. And then still waiting on him to spend the promised 10 million Stardust at the start of I can't even remember what season, and most importantly, still waiting on the Bastion stream from how many seasons ago was that bet? Seriously though, how did this man get the name Speedy? Is it supposed to be ironic? You're like that
uh,
character in Dota. Is the character's name Tiny? It's like it starts off as like a little like stone giant, but it
uh,
just turns gigantic. Like it's like bigger than like any creature on the map. Like it's massive when it gets like fully like leveled up. That's
my
you.
see Twastel. The speed. Okay, here's your misconception, right? The speediest does not indicate movement forward or backwards. It indicates lateral movement side to side. In Silph, I did have a reputation for dodging matches, which is a very
Dude.
lateral move side to
Okay.
side.
Yes, you did.
And I'm stacking these bets for a big reward.
Dude, you're
Honestly, what
stacking
I'm
these
looking
bets like
at,
you're stacking your special research, man.
amen,
Dude.
amen. Save it for a rainy day. What I'm looking at, honestly,
Yeah.
Twastel, I'm at 18.75 million. I'm trying to get to 20 for the new season start. So that
Okay,
way
you go
I
spend
can do
20.
20 million instead. And
Dude,
if you
there's
think
not going
about
to
it,
be enough new updates for you to spend this on.
if I'll
They're
find
going
a
to
way
need
to
to
spend it.
release a new generation Pokemon that isn't even out yet.
If I spend 10 million right now and then the moveset update drops, I could look and feel like an idiot, especially if I power up a bunch of stuff that gets nerfed. All right. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to touch it because it's 2 weeks from now.
It is.
I waited this long.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean,
What we might
yeah.
do, Caleb, I don't
Uh-huh.
know if I've even caught a shield on recently, but we might have to do our Bastiodon thing to get it out of the way.
Uh, During Catch Cup,
Catch Cup.
I'd be down for it. Do you have one recent? Or maybe when you go to Hartford, ask people for Shieldons to swap with you.
Oh, I
Because
like
any
that.
Shieldons they call recent ones, hopefully, right?
Hmm.
That could be a good one. All right, last comment on this video. BGA says, day one listener, first time commenting, also fan of the 100. Even if the last season were kind of weird, I like the concept. I hope Zion comes back for episode 100, and I'd also really enjoy seeing Rise as a guest. Greetings from Argentina. Hope we get
Oh,
a regional here next season, and you guys get to travel and cast over here. Hopefully, Speedy will be fluent in Spanish by then. Hello, dude, that'd be hype. And thank you for the love and shout out from Argentina, dude. Argentina, I've never even been to Argentina before. Have you?
no, I have
Okay,
not.
yeah. It'd be cool. A huge ghost scene there too, right? I think one of the first
Huge.
shoutcasted tournaments was in Argentina with King Zionic and Trainer Tips, if I'm not mistaken, the Argentina
Dude,
regional. The one that
I
Marco
would
Galde
love
won.
I would love to hear Zionic talk about that. I wonder if people can hear that in the future.
Stay
We'll
tuned.
see.
Stay
Stay
tuned.
tuned.
Stay tuned. That's it for our questions. We have one more video, the Draco Viz one, but I would save that comments for later because
Sure.
we're already at an hour and 15 minutes here. So we
Yeah. This
I'm
is
gonna
our
put that
stand.
timestamp for JK as well for anyone that's trying to skip over the question because we getting through. I mean, we had to catch up on 2 videos of comments, right? So we'll
Yeah.
just do it at a future event and comment other stuff. But anyway, let's get into the meat of things. We got the Valorous event right now, and that is happening currently. And I don't know. I mean, there's
I
just
think it's
not
going to
too
be
much. Mega Pincer debut, double candies for catching Pokemon, 2 free raid passes per day for spinning photo gyms, which like would be great if you could raid, but like I don't have people to raid with. So like what am I gonna do with these, right? Like I was just like it's like so
Yeah.
hard to find people to raid here.
Uh, yeah.
And then 2 mysterious components from Team Go Rocket Grunts. That one has been nice. I've been doing a ton of Rocket Leaders because of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then trainers level 31 and above will receive twice the chance to obtain Candy XL from catching Pokemon. And Tapu
Yeah.
Fini's back in raised. Yeah.
This event is going to end the same day that this episode goes live. So if you
Oh,
haven't
okay.
completed your research yet, or if you haven't grinded out your rockets yet, definitely go do that. Stack some red eggs for the upcoming Fennekin Community Day because it's the dust bonus, right?
I
So
got
might as
12.
well.
12 out of
You got
12.
12?
Yeah, I got
Dude,
12.
I didn't even mention this before, not even trying to flex, but on our last Stardust bet, I didn't even do my 12-kilometer egg hatches.
I don't understand how you get this dust then because I did a
Did.
few of those too. I didn't have 12 out of 12, but I had
Did.
dude, what are you doing?
I go hard in the
I need
paint
to
like
check his
Enzo.
account. I'm just saying. If staff was out there, you know what to do. Um, dude, let me tell you something like really troll. I
Sure.
like so bad. Um, you know how at the end of this Valorous event you get a ponytail with like a nice little like ribbon thing or scarf thing or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you know how the Elekid one you get one with like a little like wristband or whatever from the Instinct
Yes.
event.
Yep.
I got both of those yesterday.
Mhm.
Mass transferred both of them away. Dude, I still have my Lapras, but I mass transferred this. Dude, I am just straight trolling this season. Not only did I transfer both of those away, I transferred away my Pikachu Libre as well.
That's right. Dude, you got to start transferring things when you're delirious, man. You need to
Dude,
have
I mean, the
like
Pikachu Libre is like harder to do, right? I don't even know how I did that one. Like these two are easy because they look pretty much like the regular Pokemon on the select screen, right? Like I was just
start
appraising it.
I'm going to channel our mutual
Dude, the
friend
moment I
Clash and
pressed
Cliff.
transfer, I already knew. Yeah.
I'm going to channel Clash and Cliff here. Favorite your Pokemon,
Dude,
man.
I should have. Well, I'll catch you. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll favorite it later, right? I
Yeah,
praise
me
it. I
too.
praise it all later
Me
at the end
too.
of the day. I transfer like 40, 50 Pokemon. I'm like, oh, crap.
Dude.
It said like
Dude,
2 event Pokemon. Make sure you don't want to do it. I was like, event Pokemon. There's events all the time. Like, what's an event Pokemon? Right? It could be just Pikachu with a hat or something, right? Obviously, we don't have that.
you know who's a terrible offender of this? Of transferring stuff he shouldn't transfer and not
Oh,
favoriting things?
oh.
Wholesome. He actually has a redemption on his channel where you can use channel points to favorite a Pokemon.
Oh, really? Because he
Yeah.
accidentally does it?
Yeah, well, he just doesn't favorite anything, and it makes people like Clash and Cliff and others really
Oh,
nervous.
yeah.
So I get it. I get it. Right.
I mean,
Um, I
I need to do that too.
this is a really good moment for YouTube comment or social media comment on Twitter, for example. Let us know which Pokemon you've accidentally transferred
Oh
because you didn't
yes,
favorite it.
yeah,
Let us know.
dude. Yeah, the Libre and the recent two event ones. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
they weren't really great IVs, but I don't think you can get another one ever.
Yeah. But still.
I know, a little unfortunate. All right. Anyway, we got another event coming up, the Fennekin Community Day. I don't think we talked about this before, but this will be this upcoming Sunday. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be when we're at Hartford for the regional, but it's 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So possibly the event might be over. Probably not though, because we probably
Yeah.
will have a top 16 because we have so many players. So top
Yep.
16 means it probably runs longer. So the event will probably still be going on during this. So part of me is like, if I don't make it that far, at least we could play all this community day, right? Without being disturbed. But I mean, I would still rather
Sure.
be competing. Um, but anyway, 2 to 5 p.m. local time, Sunday, Fennekin Community Day. You got Delphox if you get it evolved
Mm-hmm.
from Braxton. Then you learn Blastburn, no surprise, fire primary partner Pokemon here. But this is a cool one. Just like Blaziken was, you also can learn Mystical Fire after
Okay.
the conclusion of events, right? And Mystical Fire is going to be interesting. I think it's like a lunge clone, if I'm not mistaken.
I
It's like a
I believe
fire
it's
lunge clone or icy
I
wind
think
clone.
it's close to Icy Wind, yes.
Okay, yeah. So, decreases your opponent's attack. Honestly, this might be the moveset of choice. It's a signature move for
Yes.
Delphox, if I'm not mistaken. But
Mhm.
it's a moveset probably a choice because again, Blastburn's just so energy intensive and it's like overkill in most situations, just like Blaziken
Mhm.
with Blastburn, right? Charizard Blastburn is a different story, but Blaziken Blastburn, so that
Yeah.
therefore Mystical Fire might be better, right? Just
Yeah.
why Blaziken always use Blaze Kick, which is kind of cool. I like it because you can learn it afterwards. It's not an exclusive move.
Yeah.
Might be the move of choice. 3 times Stardust stuff for catching Pokemon. I like it.
Mhm.
We should
Mhm.
definitely track it because I'm curious how much Stardust we're getting on the venue. My real question is, did we leave the venue? We just play at the venue for 3 hours.
No, I think we stay at the venue
Yeah, we just
because
stay
the
at the venue,
venue
just
has
chat and hang out. Yeah.
the double dose bonus and
Mm-hmm.
stops. I tried to leave the venue for Orlando, and I was
Yeah.
actually only able to play at Disney Springs for like 30 minutes or something,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
not a good time.
Exactly. Maybe we just stay at the venue till 5. I mean, it'll still
I'm
be going
down.
on for VGC and TG. Maybe we could watch the VGC while you know stuff like that.
I'm down.
3 times dust for catching Pokemon, 2 times candy for catching Pokemon, 2 times chance for getting candy XLs, all this stuff, lure modules, incense, 3 hours, whatever. Snapshots, trades made during the event, 50 times less dust, and 1 additional special trade, which is great if you're at Hartford
Cool.
or at events because more people to do trades with. I don't even know what I'm looking for. I'm sure I'm lucky with a decent amount of people there, so I might just do lucky trades. I don't know. Dude,
Mhm.
I got the
Same.
Shundo Lugia. Did I tell you about that,
Dude,
man? The
you
Shundo Lugia and the Shundo Ho. I got my set. Like I'm good. I still need a Hundo Groudon, but I don't even need a Shundo Groudon, right? I'll just take a Hundo
you didn't
Groudon.
tell me. I found out via Twitter. So everybody should
Dude.
follow Caleb on Twitter
Yeah, follow me on
to
Twitter for
see his
those
to see
hot
his
tweets.
flexes. His flexes.
It's been a while since I got to flex. I feel like there was like a stretch like a couple months ago where I was getting like the rank 1 Shadow Machamp from Rocket, the rank 1 like Greedent for Ultra League. I was getting some weird stuff. The
What
Mandibuzz from Poke Games, right? I was getting some good stuff, but it's been a few months. I feel
didn't you
like.
get? Didn't you get a rank one Zorua and then a Hondo Zorua or something?
Yeah, yeah, I did, yeah, yeah. When
It's
everyone's
been a while
complaining
since
about
my last
but no, that
flex.
was months ago. That was like all around Halloween. That was all around the same time period. Nothing's happened this year, this calendar year. I feel like
Yeah, yeah,
Lugia,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I gave someone
yeah,
else a
yeah,
Shundo
yeah.
Rayquaza. I was actually trading with someone yesterday, and I just did a regular trade with a friend, and I gave him 100% Rayquaza, non-shiny, just from a regular swap, just for XLs.
Dude.
100%.
Well, I know what
Great trade
people are going to be
partner.
looking for when they see you in Hartford. Caleb, give me some of that Rayquaza luck.
You know, I got you. I got you. I do need a shiny Rayquaza Shundo first, but I ran out of them to mirror. um,
Shit.
but anyway, and then you had the bonus 4-star raid Brax and stuff, all that stuff. Anyway, that'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's not like super wild, but should be fun. Who
Mhm.
knows? Maybe we'll see some Delphox in the future. Could be interesting.
It could be good in some limited metas, right? And I want to
Mhm.
mention this as well. After 5 o'clock, I'm sure there are going to be gyms at the venue, but if we stick around, we probably will still be able to catch lots of fennekin with double
Mm-hmm.
dust. It won't be 5 times dust or
Yeah.
6 times or whatever, but it will
So,
be double
yeah,
still, which is nice.
dude, it'll be a good time.
It's
Yeah,
going to be fun.
it's gonna be fun. It'll be fun. All right, going into the news you all came here for.
Oh,
An
dude,
hour and 24 minutes in,
we
but the
need
news you came here for.
you know what the next step is for us, honestly, Caleb. We need to add like musical effects into the stream. This is like
Oh,
into the podcast. This
I
is like the doom doom doom.
I
You know
added
what we're
musical
doing.
effects when you were telling your haunted story of like I did add
Nice.
that one, but that was the only
Yeah.
one. But yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I could think of something. Um, yeah. All good things must come to an end, and this is a tweet from the Silph Road, which is kind of like the parent org of the Silph Arena. But after
Mhm.
7 glorious years, the Silph Road team is ceasing operations. Thank you to everyone who traveled the road over the years. Together, we wrote this place into Pokemon history. And yeah, I mean, they say a couple other things like, may your next venture bring you new discoveries to share when our paths cross again. It's been an honor. So, what exactly is going on here? Boy,
Mm, a
uh,
lot.
it's you want to take this one?
Dude.
You're one of the previous Silph World champions, man.
Yeah, so when PvP was just dropped in as a feature for Pokemon Go and nobody really knew what to do with it, all you could do was essentially like battle one opponent that you're ultra friends with. Um, Silph Arena came about, launched a bunch of metas, and really organized the grassroots and kind of took what we thought the game could be and painted a vision for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And last year they were sponsored by Niantic, being the Silph Road and the Silph Arena. Niantic sponsored them for 1 year. And this announcement comes out basically saying that they can no longer afford to run their servers and host their website and continue to act as they have in the past. And Niantic has ceased their partnership with Silph Road as well. So, unfortunately, for better or worse, right, the whole thing is going to close down.
Mm-hmm.
And that leaves, I think, a huge void in our grassroots community because yes, there's Play Pokemon local events are coming, but outside of that, I mean, if you're just getting into PvP for the first time, Silph Arena is it. If you
Mm-hmm.
look back, Caleb, and everyone who's listening, if you look back at the previous tournaments that you did in the Silph Arena, you'll see names that you won't believe. For example, if you look at like the Rainbow Cup in Chicago 2019, if you
Mm-hmm.
look at some of those names, I was at the same tournament as Asian Milkman, Arrow, and a bunch of other people, and I
Uh
didn't
huh.
even know them at that point.
Yeah, I battled against Asian Milkman at that Rainbow Cup actually. Yeah,
I didn't know you back then.
you didn't know me? I was a Lugia guy.
I knew of you, but I
Okay,
didn't
okay,
know
yeah, yeah.
you.
We didn't know,
Yeah,
no, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we didn't meet until dude. Honestly,
Orlando,
Imagine if you go back in time to Worlds in Chicago, and you were
dude.
the Silph Worlds, and you're walking around with the knowledge you know now. You'd be like, "Oh my gosh, that's this person, right?" But back then, we didn't know each other like that, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's I mean, Silph it means a lot to us, especially, but a lot of people
Hmm.
because especially those that did PvP before GBL, because that's the thing. Honestly, not even just that. The Silph Road, like, what's the thing, right? Back in the day,
Hmm.
like, I remember watching Training Chips video. He was talking about the Silph Road, like the nest maps and stuff. Used to watch all his videos, and he would talk about it. And I like went to local nests because of the Silph Road, right? And there's like
Hmm.
different like they have different research and charts on like egg hatch rates and all stuff. I used to frequent that website a lot. And then once Silph
Hmm.
Arena came out, I've been on Silph.gg like almost every single day of every single day since this release, right?
Yep.
Multiple times a day, a
Exactly.
lot. Um,
Hmm.
During the pandemic, like we're all about Silph, right? As a competitive stuff, all remote, but still, it was a good time, and the factions came out. Of course, that's a huge factor too. But yeah, Silph Road shutting down, Silph.gg is shutting down, unfortunately as well. But I'm still hopeful. I'm still hopeful that there's a decent amount of chatter that I've caught wind of over just the past couple days. Honestly, it hasn't even been a week. This was Friday, right? And this is Monday, so it's only been like 3 days. And there's already a lot of people trying to put together all their grassroots efforts to have competitive stuff outside of Silph Road,
Mhm.
outside of Silph Arena, which is great. But again, like it's just like it's not only like a grassroots org going away, it's the biggest Pokemon Go grassroots org, right? That's been around since Pokemon Go pretty much launched, right? I don't know when
Mhm.
they started the website, but it was pretty soon after Pokemon Go was initially released.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see it because it's been a solid almost 7 years, right? Um, but yeah.
It's the end of an era
Mm-hmm.
in the worst way possible, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm so hopeful. I know it could be discouraging for a lot of people as well, for those that have spent a lot of their time into Silph, or even those that haven't spent a lot of time, right? Those like a lot I know a lot of my patrons stuff, like they started doing show 6 through Silph Arena. It wasn't through Play
Mhm.
Pokemon, right? Play Pokemon they might have eventually tried, but it's really Silph Arena they dipped their toes in because there's a lot of investment to fly to a place, get
Oh
hotels and
yeah.
lodging, and then even if it's a local place, you still have to spend a whole weekend drive over, right? And you might just go 0-2, 1-2, whatever, 2-2. Like you might just do a couple battles and sit, right? Silph Arena allows you to play multiple battles with people all over the world and get that experience beforehand, right? And you could try like different meta Pokemon as well, right? So
Mhm.
um yeah, it's really sad to see. I think like official organizations and tournaments are really important, but grassroots is also really good to have in tandem and support a lot of operations outside of what the official ones can do, right? TPCI does great work, but they just can't host like online tournaments like this, at least
Yeah.
not anytime soon, right? And they can't do all this stuff. They can't make this stuff accessible, right? I think there's always some type of grassroots league in like almost every gaming area.
There has to be, right? There has to be a way that you can meet your local friends or that you
Hmm.
can get organized and you can actually like prepare for the official circuit, right? Like if you think about any major sport, you think about American football, right? Of course there's the NFL, which is essentially the equivalent for us for play Pokemon. Like that
Hmm.
is the championship series, circuit. But there's so many like smaller leagues. There are so many, like school sponsored leagues. There's so many like you need a really wide and deep foundation. That's hence
Hmm.
why it's called grassroots, so that you can
Yeah.
have a huge tree that just stands above it all and being your championship series, right?
Yeah.
So it I don't know. It's a really sad time. It's a very bittersweet thing because sure, there have been some criticisms of Silph, right? Trying to get the rule sets right.
Hmm.
Maybe the metas are too complicated. Maybe the world championship format was a little bit too confusing, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think that anybody has looked at the past 2 days, sat down and said, "I think the world is better off without Silph."
Hmm.
I don't think anyone has said that.
Actually, I did see someone comment on that.
Was it a real person or was it a troll?
uh, their name rhymes with barrel brapper.
Oh, nice,
Saw in a
nice. Well,
comment
maybe
of one of our other videos, but
well maybe there's one person or two people that think that, but yeah, they're the minority.
yeah, they are. They are. For anyone that actually cares about PP, right? That's up in
Yeah.
the minority here. Um, and yeah, like you said, like yeah, maybe didn't get the rule sets right or some whatever, but they are the ones that created the first rule sets. So like
Yes.
they were the ones figuring out along the way. Like I think a lot of our judges for Play Pokemon were judges
Yeah.
for Silph, and they rely on a lot of the knowledge they had from Silph rulings on how they do these official rulings, right? So like it's a foundation that we've been relying on all these years, even to this day, right?
Mhm.
I mean, just think about it. Factions is a completely like grassroots, no prize pool, no money thing that people spend countless hours on. I know because I'm captain of a team and I do too, right? We spend countless on prepping, scrimming, doing all these random battles that don't mean anything, right? They don't actually mean anything, but people are excited about it. There's all this banter and like crap talk on Twitter, right? And people like got beef with each other. But the thing is, like, even though that's like funny to see and weird, like like it creates culture around the game, right? Like if whether you like the smack talk or not, people are doing it because they're invested, right? People are like clowning on each other, calling people clowns because they care about this unofficial format so much, right?
Yes.
Like regardless of what
Yes.
you think, like I think like whether you like the smack talk or not, like it's it's a indicator of how much people care about something that's
Yeah.
just has literally speaking like no actual value, right? In the
Mhm.
competitive sphere. Um but that's what Sylph's done, right? Something really beautiful in that aspect. And I will say two things. One, I'm really glad that Silph at least gave us a heads up so that like, hey, we're still gonna conclude this season of Silph,
Mm-hmm.
the individual world championships, but also for factions, we're all gonna do that. Right, we're gonna complete all that stuff, and then we'll wrap it up. Right, we're not gonna just end like next week or something. Um, so I think that's good because we do get the conclusion of the season. So all the stuff we've been working towards so far doesn't go to waste. And two, it's also really good because we now have a deadline and timeline of when grassroots Silph is retiring forever, which
Yes.
means that
Yes.
other grassroots efforts now have a timeline of when they can make stuff. They don't have to have something ready day after Silph, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be good that they have a general timeline. I think like the Silph World Championships for the individual Silph is literally happening end of July.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good because August we got like Pokemon Go World Champion, like official TPCI World Championships, and then maybe September is when we have stuff right for the new grassroots.
Yeah.
Which I think, I mean, I don't know, right? I'm not involved in the grassroots planning stuff, so like it's not on me for this. But I think that'd be really cool if they could get something together by September because to September comes around, there's no more TPCI events for probably a little bit, right? I think the first regional
A
was
few
Baltimore,
weeks.
like end of September, something, right? A few weeks, so you have some time, right? You have about a month,
Mm-hmm.
so when people are bored and don't have stuff to do, hey, try out this new grassroots, whatever thing, right? There might be multiple
Mm-hmm.
grassroots organizations. To be honest, there's been other grassroots tournaments and organizations running behind the scenes in tandem with Silph. It's just that Silph's been
Mm-hmm.
the most popular one, right? So I think like grassroots has not died off because there's always been some type of grassroots. Like the first team formats was Arkansas PvP and then Go Team Up from Go Stadium, right? Those
Yep.
came
Mm-hmm.
before factions, and I played in both of those quite a bit actually. Hey, funny enough, I actually won in both of them. I have a trophy. Yeah,
Subtle
no big,
flex.
no
Subtle
big deal,
flex.
no big deal. Yeah, but anyway, so those two formats are still very near and dear to my heart as well, even though they're no longer existing right now. But it just goes to show that there is um there is still some stuff there. I will say this again, focusing a little on me here, but I think it's a funny little situation. Um, our Cool Cats, right, our team, we were completely ruled out of World Championships. Like there was no shot that we're making it. And then they
Yeah.
dropped this news and they're adding like 8 additional teams on, right, for
Yeah.
world championships, which means 2 from each region, which means that we now have a chance to compete in the last factions worlds. But here's the really ironic part. There needs to be 2 different outcomes here.
Yeah.
One, Ann Arbor Arbok, right, which already qualified for worlds. They're in the diamond tier. They need to win first place in their current tier for us to
Okay.
qualify, but
Mm-hmm.
it's looking like it's going to be rough because Chicago Stars are the other team that might take that first spot, and they're facing off
That's
like
a
against like I think like
tough.
the lowest performing team in their tier, so it's going to be hard to like overcome that. So that's the tricky one. And then the other scenario is NEB Northeast Battlers battle against Pogoats in this last week in the Emerald tier. If Pogoats wins, we're also in Worlds. But if NEB wins, I think we're out of it, right? So
Ooh.
so so
Okay.
the former situation might not work in our favor. The second one, it really just depends on how Pogoats play versus NEB this week. Now, here's the really ironic part. We played Pogoats this past week, and if we lost, I think we guarantee our spots in Worlds because then they would have been up ahead of NEB regardless.
Uh huh.
We somehow beat Pogos, which was like the number one team in our tier. I don't know how, right? Like we somehow beat them, which we essentially screwed ourselves in a way. I mean, honestly, like, I told my team, was like, we're not throwing this week just for a chance at Worlds, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not the
Mm-hmm.
way to go. But also, we weren't expecting to do so well too. They played great too, but just like I think we just had some really clutch battles and stuff, and we somehow beat them, which means that we might have eliminated ourselves out of World's contention depending on how this week goes. But Pogos are really good. They've only lost twice. Once was to us and one was to Wing Attack. So out of all the teams they face, so I believe in the goats, the Pogoats. But it would be big karma for us if we don't make it because we won. Um,
Dude. Ironic.
Ironic indeed. Ironic. But
Like
it is what
Palpatine.
it is. NEB, I love the guys at NEB as well too. So I'm only rooting for Pogos for personal sake, but I have no beef
Mm-hmm.
with them too. But a lot of
Well,
them are actually going to be at Hartford too. So the the
Yes.
conclusion of this bout might happen before I even show up in Connecticut. They might just knock everything out on Thursday, Friday, or Pogos might play smart, be like, "Yo, let's schedule in the weekend so that they'll be distracted, they're burnt out." But you never know because they're all there in person together. They might be just like on a call together, like not even on a call, just in person in the same room. Like, "Yo, like let's get this done right in person." I don't know. It could go anyways.
Dude.
It's gonna be a weird. It's gonna be an interesting week for us, um,
So
for factions.
so again, the way Caleb is talking about how much passion people have for factions, the way that this whole conversation, I just been like observing, right? The way this whole conversation morphed from, yes, this news about the closure of Silph Arena is very sad, to, yo, I'm talking about Cool Cats getting to the World Championship and we gotta have this guy win it, this guy win it.
One
The way
last
that it
hurrah,
just morphed.
right?
What? Yes, but also, I
Yeah.
hope everyone picked up on like the passion in
Uh
Caleb's
huh.
voice. Again, he's the team captain of the Cool Cats, an Emerald tier team, consistently one of the best performing teams in all of North America, et cetera, et cetera. I just want everyone to capture that passion that Caleb had. And if you have a similar passion, if you are concerned about the Silph Arena closing, if you want to do something with factions, if you have been doing something with factions and you're concerned about the future of factions, please don't give up hope. Just
Hmm.
sit tight. Like Caleb said, there are a lot of conversations going on in the background. Some of us know a bit more than others. I sincerely think that everyone needs to just kind of hunker down for now, sit tight, and try not to worry, because there are a lot of people in the community that are fighting very, very, very hard to
Hmm.
build something that the community will enjoy and use. And just like you, we're not going anywhere.
We're
So
not going anywhere.
stay tuned.
Yeah, dude, I've played every single week of factions. I've never taken a single week off. 70 weeks, 70 weeks of factions, dude. That's
You're a
over a
monster,
year's.
dude. You're,
Yeah, there's only a few people that have that kind of streak. I think Dialab Churn is one of them. He also has 70. He hasn't taken a single week off. And I think, to my knowledge, out of every region outside Mexico, Mexico actually, their players have played more than 70 plus. They've played like over 100 plus because they have their own 7-11 league, which, again, I really feel bad for them too because they're not going to have their own league anymore because it's not hosted on Silph.
Mhm.
But I think the only player in the world that has more than 70 outside of like the Mexico region is Keen Bart, if I'm not mistaken. Keen
King Bart,
Bart,
yeah.
he has
Hmm.
71. Balk has 70 as well, so he's tied. Keen Bart has 71 because they went to Worlds last year, so they had an extra battle. Whereas we did some exhibition thing. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, maybe some people in EU. I don't know. I don't think so though. I think, yeah, I haven't taken a single week off. It's not even just like I love it so much. It's just like it's just a constant. It's a thing that's always been a part of our lives, right? For many
Hmm.
people. Even if you didn't, even if you took some weeks off, it's been around, right? And it's like it's always like, oh, like there's always Silph tournaments. Like I've been going to our Silph local tournaments as well that RC Cole's been hosting. So shout out to him as well. But like, it's just yeah, it's been a time. It's been a
Yeah,
time.
it
But
has.
the streak is finally going to end along with everyone else. But we'll see. New team formats will be around, I'm sure, and looking forward to seeing how that goes. Because again, like I said, there are team formats before factions.
Hmm.
I believe there'll be team formats after factions. So if
Yes.
you have team jerseys for your team, don't throw them away yet. Speaking of which, we're getting cool cast jerseys too. So I don't think I'll have it in time for
There you
Hartford, so I
go.
can't wear it. But you know, I'll
Well,
just wear
look.
it.
One more point I want to make about factions. I think that going into the future, it's not going to be about Silph Arena factions as much as it will be about Cool Cats, Northeast Battlers, Stadium Elite. It's going to become more about the players and the teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that one of the big objectives right now is giving teams a place to compete.
Yep.
So the Cool Cats aren't going away. NEB's not going away. Just finding a place for those teams to go is the objective.
Yep, exactly. And again, shout out to everyone involved in helping out with all this stuff. You know, you all know who you are. I don't know everyone who like, to be honest, I don't actually know enough to shout out everyone, but I know there's a lot of people working really hard behind the scenes to keep grassroots alive, and keep something like Silph or factions and team formats alive too. Um, so big shout out to you all because again, it's a lot of thankless hard work, and hopefully those that were super critical over Silph over the years can at least reflect and be appreciative of the work they've done and future work
Mhm.
that grassroots does. Again, nothing's perfect, right? We've all had probably critiques of Silph over the years, myself included, but nothing's perfect, and it is sad to see them go.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
But yeah, let's get into. I mean, surprising that wasn't even the tea topic. This is the real
I
tea here
know,
too.
dude.
We'll
That's
make
how.
this quick because we've been going on for almost 2 hours at this point, dude.
Yeah.
These battle passes, man. What is up with this? Go Battle Day was yesterday at the time of recording. Obviously, by the time you hear this, it's been a couple of days from now. We had a Go Battle Day. It was called Go Battle Day Stardust. Up to 20 sets, 4 times Stardust for win rewards, and a paid time research, right? Shout out to E110 for getting my paid research, right? So I got it from him. And a lot of people just spent their own money or gifted other people's stuff too, right? And so we had a Go Battle Day thing. And let me tell you, this research was hot garbage. Let me just say it, right? It was some hot garbage stuff. Dude, let me just break it down, right? You get like dust from it. You get 4,000 dust 5 different times, right? And then 5,000 at the very end. So I think it's total of 25,000 dust, which is not a ton, right? It's something.
No.
Um but here's the task. The first one's complete 20 Go Battle League battles, right? Second one's 40, third one's 60, etc., all the way to 100. And here's the thing: you can't top left. You top left, that counts towards your total. It doesn't count. It's over, right? The paid research is over, and you can't complete it. And you only have 24 hours to do it. It's a limited research. It's not like an all time research, right? It's not like the GBL season. We have the whole season complete. It's literally 24 hours. They're expecting people to actually complete all 100 battles in 24 hours, which is not impossible, right? But one, the rewards are very measly. Two, it costs money to buy the pass. And three, there's so many ways for you to not complete it. If you top left, if you game errors, I saw a lot of people their game errors, right, as well, and that's kind of a problem as well. And yeah, it's just I don't know.
To,
What
to
were your
Caleb's
thoughts on
point,
this? Yeah.
you have to complete the battle for it to count on your battle pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
For lack of a better phrase,
Yeah.
you have to complete the game. So if you are, oh, I don't know, playing a game and suddenly your opponent's Pokemon becomes invisible and then suddenly you lag out and then suddenly your game freezes and you have to restart your app, guess what? Can't complete your research,
Can't
and the
complete
money
it.
that you paid, the money, literal real money, not in-game
Mm-hmm.
currency, not anything like silly, like, not even your time, but your literal physical money goes down the drain and you can't get what you paid for. Another thing that really irked me about this, Caleb, if you look at the community day research tickets that people can gift, they're 99 cents. For example, people
Mm-hmm.
gift, tickets out all the time.
Yeah.
That research stays in your special research tab. If you didn't finish this Go Battle Day research by the time the day was over, it vanished.
Mm-hmm.
Poof, gone forever.
Gone.
And you know what? If you could complete that, dude, there's only 2 weeks left in the whole Go Battle League season. If
Dude,
you
yeah.
just let people keep the freaking research that they paid freaking money for and let them
Uh-huh.
finish it on their own pace, then there would be no problem.
Yeah, because you don't even have to worry about the glitches too, right? Like even if they tried to,
Yes.
even if they played the game how you want them to, it
Yes.
still might not pan out, which is wild, right? And like again, you don't like put a disclaimer like you can't quit out the battles or else they won't count. Like there's a lot of people that just quit out because like you already have to do 100 battles. You want to sit there in a battle where you know you lost, right? This Macargo against my Noctowl is I'm not winning this battle, right? I'm just get me out of here, right, dude. Here's the real miracle. Somehow I actually completed this without airing, which I think is like an actual crazy feat in itself. Like I don't know how I didn't air out. I actually was able to complete this research, but again, I did 100 battles to spend all this time for what? An extra 4,000 dust, 5,000 dust, 3 rare candies, and 1 star piece? Like, what? We've had Go Battle Day stuff for free, and you get like elite TMs at the end of it. And you don't have to do all 100 battles. Like, I don't understand. Like, we get way better rewards for free Go Battle Days in the past, and we have a paid one. I'm thinking, you gotta think, the paid one's gotta be better than the free one, right? Not even close. Not even close. Hot garbage, man. I don't know, right? I don't know about this one. Hopefully, hoping Niantic learned the lesson from this one, but again, this was a miss and a half. I gotta say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Missed the boat. Straight
Yeah,
up, straight up fell out of the boat and didn't hit water.
dude. Let me tell you, Niantic. In regards to the impact on the community as well, which is awful, right? Unfortunately for this one, and the glitches and bugs. Let me just remind you, right? Anyone work for Niantic? Let me just remind you here. You're giving
Please.
more ammo for Squirrel Trapper to hurl at us, right? And to hurl
True.
at you,
True.
right? Think about this. Think about the implications here, right? You want more hate comments for Squirrel Trapper? I love his comments, but man, if he's saying that Niantic fumbled the bag on this one, I gotta agree with Squirrel Trapper for once, man. I'm
Oh
trapping squirrels
no,
with them out there.
no, we can't reach that point, Caleb. We're agreeing with Scroll Trapper. Oh no.
Dude, dark days, dark
It's
days.
not it's not just embarrassing to Niantic, it's embarrassing to the players, the
Mm-hmm.
people that invest in the game, the people that really
Yeah,
care. It's embarrassing to everybody. All
yeah,
right.
yeah. It is. We'll see how it goes. Again, like I actually had 20 battles left at like 10 o'clock. I just ended my stream because I was like streaming my battles. I was like, do I want to do these? I was like, screw it. I'll just do it.
Screw
Like
it.
it felt like a huge chore to get through 100 battles, but I did it, and I felt like I didn't even get that much out of it.
And you
Like
know
I look at my
what?
starters, it's not to change that much for the
And
amount of time I spent.
the icing on the cake again, it was scheduled on Mother's Day.
It
I
was
know
yes,
everyone I
yes.
know everyone has access to a calendar. I know everyone knows what the holidays are this year. Please, dude.
It's just like
you Son, what are you
yeah,
doing? Oh no, I'm just on battle 79 out of 100, mom. I
yeah,
promise
yeah.
I'll pay attention to you later.
Right, yeah. I'll join in for
Come
dinner at
on.
like 10 p.m. when I finish this. Like,
Yeah,
dude,
come on, dude.
dude.
I get it. I get like in some weird way you could say okay, people aren't out, they're actually at home, maybe they're having family time, etc. But still like the response doesn't match the
Yeah.
circumstance. It just
Again, like,
doesn't.
okay, honestly, go Battle Day on Mother's Day. There's a lot of holidays going on, so it's not the end of the world to do that. But don't make the time research only available on Mother's Day too, right? Allow people to bank the research that they paid for later, right? That's not too hard, especially research that's that time intensive, right? If it was like do 20 battles, use like 5 super effective charge moves, whatever, different story, right? Very different story. I think you would have
Hmm.
very resounding difference of opinion here. I mean, you could just do like 25,000 dust for doing 20 battles. Whatever. Who cares if you give him 25,000 dust? It's not, dude. You could unlock like half, like a quarter of a legendary Pokemon's charge from for Master League coming up, and it's not going to cost
A
that
quarter.
much. Yeah, like they still do 20 battles. Like I don't get it. Like it just, you know.
It's so tough, man, when it feels like the answer is right there. It's so tough, dude.
I gotta give it to Niantic. Some of these fumbles are so creative. I wouldn't have even thought of them. Like
This is
I
like
gotta
the
say, I like what's that what's the
Go ahead.
what's that theory called where anything that could go wrong or will go wrong
Murphy's
something?
law.
Murphy's law,
Murphy's law.
dude. It's like anything that could go wrong, I can't even see coming, right? Like that's the additional to addendum to Murphy's law, right? Anything that could go wrong will go worse. Like,
Dude, it's like yeah, true, right?
yeah.
Uh this we've been talking about basketball a lot, right? We have a lot of goat debates. Just a football throwback here. This is like the 2012 Mark Sanchez butt fumble. Every time something like this happens and the ball snaps and you put it on your butt and then you just lose the ball and then you just lose the game. That's what this
Wait,
feels
wait,
like.
wait. What year was this?
It was 2012 because the 10-year anniversary was in 2022.
Wait, what did he do again?
He took the snap for the ball and then he just like lost it. It just like it was on his butt and then he just like lost the ball. It's
Oh,
hilarious.
yeah. I don't remember that one too. I'm a Jets fan, but the Tony Romo one was pretty bad too.
Tony
What
Romo had a
for
few,
the?
man.
I remember that one. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
just blocking out the Mark Sanchez one because
I'll send you the link. It's
I
literally
don't know
it's
if I want
literally
to.
an official clip on the NFL YouTube channel with 11 million subs. It's called The Butt Fumble.
No, that was Jets' peak, right? It didn't get any
Dude,
better after that.
it's so bad. Oh no no no
Oh,
no 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 no! Excuse me! It wasn't on the snap. He actually ran into his lineman's butt,
oh, I do remember this.
and then he fumbled. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, I do remember that. Ah, dude. The man,
It feels
that was when the Jets were like closest to like making it to the
yeah.
Super Bowl too. Maybe this is why I stopped watching NFL. I don't know. I just remember during those years. It was
Yeah.
2012. Wait, was he? Oh, wait, it was in
Dude, we're getting
2012.
old. We're getting old, dude.
Oh, I remember the 2010 and 2011 were good years for Jets.
I don't
Probably
know.
2012 wasn't, but anyway. Oh, What a time! What a time!
Yeah, seriously.
Anyway, I think that just about wraps it up for us here. You know, got a lot of stuff to talk about. uh, anyway, thank you all
Mm-hmm.
for leaving comments too. Always a great time. We are behind on some of the comments, but we'll cover more next time around. I hope you all liked the Dracoviz episode too. Or what's that? That was our last episode, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. If you haven't got a chance to check it out, definitely check it out. I mean, those guys are doing great work, but also just like it was a fun episode. The quizzes back and forth, yo,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
was fun, man.
Dude,
That was those some
I
sleepers.
we've had some great questions the past couple episodes. Tell us three things. First, tell us what you think about the Draco quizzes. I want
Mm-hmm.
to see people responding to those quiz questions.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, from this episode, let us know which Pokemon you've transferred on accident that you later regretted. Maybe it's Pikachu Libre, like Caleb. And the third one is let us know what you think of the thumbnails. I've been trying to upload them and be more consistent, and I
Yeah,
think it adds a little more flair to the channel, and that's on YouTube. So let us know.
yeah. Shout out to Chip too, our TCG co-caster as well. He was like, "Yo, guys, you gotta do at least have some thumbnails here. What are you all doing?" I was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, you
yeah,
right, you right." But it was Chip that was one that gave us the idea to do YouTube for the video segment, which
hmm
has changed a lot of our content,
yeah.
I would say.
It's
But
nice.
also, occasionally make some TikToks and stuff like that and clips, which I think has been cool.
hmm
So, but yeah, thank you all again. We are on episode 99. One episode away from 100. Now, I will say we did pre-record it, so again, if anything
Yeah,
happens between now and next week, we don't know because the people, the Speedy and KLBC next week are 2 weeks in the past. So in their mind, Silph is going on forever, right?
yes,
And Go Bow Day research pass reaping all those dusts, right?
yeah. I just want to say
It was really fun.
as much crap as we covered in this episode, there's even more crap in the next one. It's true.
I love it. I would say if you know, you know, but no one knows.
No,
No one knows
nobody knows
unless you're listening backwards, right? Unless you heard this episode, the previous episode, the next episode
unless you're a time
beforehand.
traveler.
Unless you're a time
Yeah.
traveler, right? Um, but anyway, thank you all, and hope you have a good one, and hopefully we catch some of you at Hartford, and and if I see you at Hartford, please take it easy on me. I'm just kidding.
We'll see.
I expect nothing but the best competition. Anyway, peace out. Best luck to Pogos this week, and we'll catch you all on episode 100.
Peace.